1-1 Runners lead off. Line drive out toward left center field, a base hit. Turner's around third, heading for home. The throw goes to third. Welcome to Philadelphia, Luis Arraez. It's 1-0 Phils. Hit on the ground, and
yes, there we go.
Chaparro down the right field line. Turner will score. Harper going to third.
Wow.
And Arraez to second with a stand-up double.
Welcome aboard, as heard on NBC Sports Philadelphia. Tom McCarthy, John Kruk on the call. Welcome to Philadelphia, Luis Arraez, for one night only. Maybe, could be more. We shall see. Luis Arraez in the 4-hole seems to work out just fine. Get runners on base, a guy that can put the ball in play. He singles, he doubles, and the Phillies win last night between the base hits from Arraez and the pitching from Jesus Luzardo. 8 innings, 7 strikeouts, 4 hits. Luzardo had a night. But Luis Arraez, 2 for 4, 2 RBI, and it was his 42nd multi-hit game this season. That's the 3rd most in baseball. And it kind of gives you a vision of what Arraez adds to this team. Again, is hitting in the 4-hole the best spot for him? We shall see. Last night, he had guys on base. And when he had guys on base, bat to ball, things happened. But the big night was from Luzardo, 15th shutout for the Phillies this season, in part because Luzardo was so good last night. But that's a classic Phillies win. You know, we were talking about this yesterday, and I think it's where we want to start today's show off. When Luzardo, Wheeler, or Sanchez pitch, the Phillies' record is astronomical. I would like to see what their record is when those 3 pitch and put it up against other teams' records when their top 3 pitch. And you wonder if the Phillies have a legitimate presentation to make to say, we're just as good as everybody else when those 3 guys pitch. We can compete with anybody in baseball when those 3 guys pitch. And I think on nights when those guys pitch, we feel pretty good. On nights when those guys pitch, don't you feel different about this team than you do the other 2 nights? Of course you do. It's not about that. But the question is, do we put aside those 3 nights and look at the other 2 nights too much? In other words, do we only focus on the 2 nights that really won't matter in the playoffs? It might matter 1 night or 2, but for the most part, the 3 nights that we don't focus as much on, don't those nights matter more? Is that fair or unfair to ask? Because Jesus Luzardo last night was dominant. And that's a good Nationals offense. I know they lost Castillo, their best offensive guy, or one of their top offensive players in the trade deadline. They also lost Curtis Mead before the deadline. So they did lose a couple bats, but it's still a pretty good Nationals lineup. And he carved them up last night. They were only shut out for the 3rd time all season long. And real quick, I got to give a shout-out because it's the guy I started opening the show with yesterday, so I got to open the show and add him to the mix today. Trey Turner, 3 for 4, 2 runs scored. He's starting to come around a little bit offensively. I think I saw his numbers since June 1st. On-base percentage like 345, his batting average over 300. All of a sudden, Trey Turner's starting to become a factor. And if they moved him to the 2-hole, and that kind of unlocks a better version of Trey Turner, maybe Trey Turner's offense can now be something we start talking about more than his shouty defense. And if that's the case, what does it mean for this team? Because I guarantee you, as much as Trey Turner defensively bothers all of us with great reason, as much as I looked at him yesterday and said, hey, be the bigger guy here, Trey Turner. Go to management and say, I'll go play the outfield if you need me to. It all goes away if his offense comes around. We live in a fantasy sports society, and if he's hitting 345 with a 360 on base percentage from here to the end of the season, guess what? The one error he makes here and there is probably less focused on. When you look at Trey Turner, and I'm a little surprised by this. Like, I know he had been coming around a little bit, but his numbers, I really think it's since June 1st, he's really, really added to this offense.
So it's July 1st. So in the
July 1st? Sorry, I say June, July 1st. Okay, you're right.
They're both Jays. The same difference. So
it's the summer.
Right. So since July 1st, he's batting 300 with a 345 on base percentage, a 5.45 slug, 7 home runs, 16 RBIs in that stretch.
Aren't those numbers that you can live with?
Yes.
Aren't those numbers that if they continue, they're a part of why you're winning and you're not focusing on as much on the things that he might do every so often that make you or contribute to you potentially losing? Like his last 28 days, by the way, 21 games, 301, 359 on base, 578 slug, 937 OPS, 6 homers, 12 RBI. Those are some big-time offensive numbers all of a sudden. Like, if I get that Trey Turner, I have to be pretty damn happy.
Listen, if Trey Turner is going to be any consistent piece of the offense, then it's going to make the offense better because as of right now, he is the only real legitimate right-handed hitter in this lineup. You can't rely on Alec Boehm every night to be that guy. He has his moments, but he's not the most reliable player this year. And JC Realmuto also is not a reliable right-handed bat.
No, obviously not. And Boehm last night did what Boehm does a lot. He hit into a double play. I mean, it's the one thing that sticks out about the game last night. Garrigan Galloway chimes in. He says, I was unsure about Arraez in the 4-hole, but if our 3 guys are able to get on, it's a perfect spot for him, even if he leads off the inning. 2, it works out. The guy just hits. Right. I mean, so if he bats 4th and you go 1, 2, 3, you have Arraez leading off the 2nd. But if somebody gets on base, now you have Arraez up the bat. You know, it's funny. You think about it. This guy's a hit machine, but he's not an RBI machine. Why? Well, he hasn't really hit in a lot of RBI spots. Is this a guy that if you just hit him in a lot of RBI spots, you would put bat to ball and drive in a ton of runs? I don't know what to think. I said yesterday, I'm not poo-pooing him hitting in the 4-hole. I wanted to see it in action first. Now, one night, I'm not going to go say, see, they proved us all wrong. It's one night. And as I said yesterday, I'm not going to rip him for hitting him in the 4-hole. I was intrigued as to how it would work. But I tell you what, it works a lot better if Trey Turner's on base.
Exactly.
If Trey Turner is on base, as he was 3 for 4 last night with 2 runs scored, if Trey Turner is on base, this thing works a lot better. And if Trey Turner's on base the rest of the season at the clip that he's been on the last 28 days, 36% of the time, it all works a lot better, especially now with the fact that you didn't have Luis Arraez here the previous 28 days. So him being on base 36% of the time, in that time he scored 15 runs. Okay? He had 25 hits. He scored 15 times. Maybe Luis Arraez pumps that up to 18 times, 19 times, 20 times. Who knows? It's definitely a lot different situation. The last 28 days, Trey Turner, and listen, I've been as tough on Turner as anybody, but when he is performing, I got to let you know it. I think Turner should have gone to the front office, said, I'll move to the outfield if you need to. I think Turner has been very unimpactful offensively during almost his entire Phillies career. Even when he's been really good, it doesn't feel like he's been impactfully good. But how can he be impactful now? Be on base and let a guy like Arraez drive you home, and now you become more impactful. Hey, I'm on base 36% of the time, and every time I come up, this Arraez is hitting behind me, and this guy's making productive. Arraez isn't going to get hit every single time you get up, But what he might do is you're on second, he moves you to third. You're on third, he might sack fly, hit a ground ball to the right side, and make sure that you get home. So Jeff Kerr tweeted this out 4 minutes ago, and Jeff and Oscar will be here for Fastball coming up at 2:30 today. Mike McGarry from the ballpark at 5:30 tonight. Dave Gallagher at 5 o'clock. The Phillies leaders with runners in scoring position. Luis Arraez is hitting 400. Now, that's with San Francisco. And then last night with Philadelphia. He's hitting 400 with runners in scoring position. 40% of the time, Luis Arraez gets the job done with runners in scoring position. Think about that. 40% of the time. Now, I don't know what you think about the rest of these numbers because Bryson Stott is 329. Alec Boehm is 306. So Boehm with runners in scoring position, whether you like him or not, he does generally, have good runners in scoring position numbers. In fact, I don't know as of what date, he was top 5 in Phillies history with runners in scoring position. He's hitting over 300 with runners in scoring position, Boehm. But like everything, with Turner, we choose to think about the errors more than the positives. Right now, the positives are he's on base 360 the last month. The negatives are the errors, but we think about the errors. We don't think about the 360. With Boehm, we think about the double plays. We don't think about the 306. Crawford, 306. Harper, 286. Schwarber with runners in scoring position, 231. So we're always talking about you got to put Schwarber in the 4-hole in an RBI spot. He's not really hitting very well with runners in scoring position. So the Phillies are saying, guess what? He's on base at 37% clip. Let's get him on base and let Arraez hit behind him. It's pretty interesting when you think about if this works out. And Arraez is a guy that, again, 400 with runners in scoring position. Never thought to be that big of an RBI guy. But it is kind of interesting to see how the Phillies decided to go with this configuration first over any of the alternatives.
And by the way, Don Mattingly pointed out yesterday that, they could always change it later on.
Yeah.
They could swap the.
Well, you're running out of games, but yes, he could.
You could get to, let's say, I'm just using this as an example. You get to September 1st, you gave it a month, and you realized it wasn't as productive as you wanted it consistently. You could change up September 1st or whatever day coming up.
Jersey 0627's watching on YouTube. What's up, boys? What a game last night. I haven't seen an immediate impact like we witnessed last night with Luis in a very long time. Well, you got right off the bat last year, Duran, Bader. Those two guys, listen, somebody messaged me today, and I did give Dombrowski credit for Duran and Bader. And to some extent, you got to give him credit for Derek Hill. He has made these deals, but what I said about those deals are he had to make those deals because he wasn't able to fix the problem in the offseason. So in the season, he's fixing the problem that he didn't fix in the offseason. So he went out and got an outfielder last year in Kepler, but then he had to go get Bader because Kepler was a failure. He went out and got Garcia. Now, Garcia got hurt, but let's be honest, he wasn't performing anyway. So he had to go out and get Hill. But to the point of Jersey 0627, who's watching on YouTube, he says, what a signing. Immediate impact. I just hope it's enough to get into the playoffs. Pitching still questionable, but looking promising. Missing the Schwarbombs. The Schwarbombs will be back. And it's a good thing that they're winning right now, 3 in a row, I think it is, or 4 in a row, without Schwarber really having a big impact. So he'll come back around, Jersey. But the immediate impact that you're saying, Bader last year came in, had an immediate impact. Duran last year came in and had an immediate impact. So, yeah, Garcia for last night. And by the way, Garcia is a likable guy. He connects immediately with the fan base. He hit the double, and he's dancing, and he's pulling the Phillies on his jersey.
He gets it.
And the fans give him a standing ovation. They're yearning for someone that is not vanilla, like Trey Turner.
Right.
Like if Trey Turner hit a double and was on second base and gave you any personality, I bet you he wouldn't be judged as hard. And that's not fair or unfair. You shouldn't judge people based on whether they're dancing on second base. But Arraez, you could see right off the bat, he's got some personality. And the fans are already saying, I like this guy. I liked him. He comes up, he gets a base hit, he knocks some runs in. The next time he comes up, he hits a double. This is my kind of guy. Trey Turner, he's hitting 360 on base percentage in the last month, and nobody even knows. You might get a little, while he's standing on first or second base, he might do a little thing with his hand like, yeah, I got a single. Him and Real Muto have the personality of, a whiteboard. Just write your notes up there and erase them.
But the difference is that Real Muto has at least shown you with his play during his Phillies tenure that he does have emotion as a player. Like he'll pump his fist.
Real Muto is also viewed as more of a leader. Turner is not.
Yeah, Turner is viewed as kind of like a dud.
Right. Real Muto might not have a lot of personality, but he's the stoic leader. So we're like, he's the guy. He's the leader. He leads the pitching. Turner doesn't have that. 609-403-0973. Jeff in Ocean City is watching on YouTube. He says, I would prefer the Phillies get the wild card so they can avoid the bye. Can someone knock out the Dodgers for us? Now, Jeff, I would ask this question to you if you want them to get the wild card, as we've talked a lot about. If the Phillies get the wild card right now, as of last night, after they win, the Phillies are now the second wild card. Jeff in Ocean City, would you want to go to Chicago and play the Cubs, who are loaded with left-handed pitching, as we've talked a lot about? They've added Kevin Gausman. They've got Matthew Boyd, Imanaga. They've added a bunch of left-handers to that rotation, and they can almost do what the Dodgers did last year, use some of their left-handed starters and possibly use them in the bullpen. The Cubs are a team with Boyd left-handed that you would just have a ton of lefties. Imanaga, David Peterson they traded for, another guy left-handed. So you would have to go through and isn't Steele supposed to be coming back at some point, or did that get back? Did he get the setback?
That got set back.
Because there were reports that he was coming back
earlier this year. Yeah, the reports he was coming back, but then it was a setback about a month ago.
Okay, so but if he gets back between now and then, maybe he just pitches out of the bullpen. But that being said, Imanaga and Peterson and Boyd are all left-handed, and they got Gausman. So Jeff in Ocean City, you say I would prefer the wild card, but do you want to face the Cubs? Because right now you would be going to Wrigley Field, and I don't know that that's an ideal situation.
I think the Cubs are probably the number one team I want to avoid. Dodgers then would be number two. If I had to pick a team,
you don't want to play the Cubs over the Dodgers. I mean, the Dodgers over the Cubs, do you? You would rather play the Dodgers than the Cubs?
I feel like people are overlooking the fact that the Dodgers are not having as great of a year as maybe they think they are because of their record. A lot of those guys on that team are having okay years for their standards.
You would think, though, that by the time the playoffs come around, they should be healthy enough. Well, they're 69-45, and they've missed the most team games out of every team in baseball, and they still have the best record in baseball.
I feel like if you had to pick somebody, you say if you could pick somebody to play in the wild card round, I think there's one team you would pick. That's the Braves.
The Braves are the team that you have kind of owned over the last couple of years when you've played them in the playoffs. Now, how do you match up with them this time around?
Well, let's look at that Chris Sale guy. That's going to be difficult. That's probably the one game that probably worries you the most in a series with them. Their other starters they're good, but I don't think anyone's necessarily scared of them.
Yeah. Well, to answer Jeff at Ocean City's question about the wild card. Now he says no Cubs. Well, guess what, Jeff? Right now you're matched up with the Cubs. The only way you would avoid the Cubs is if you became the third wild card team, and then you would play the worst division winner.
Which would this rate would be probably the Braves.
Right now, if you were looking at the worst division winner in the National League, that would be the Braves, but it's close. They have 68 wins. By the way, the Brewers actually have the best record in baseball, not the Dodgers by a game and a half. But the Dodgers and the Brewers, and then the Brewers are the 1 seed, the Dodgers are the 2 seed, and the Braves would be the 3 seed right now.
Right. And again, the Braves are the team. You've owned them in the postseason. They don't have a rotation that scares you necessarily. Now, they did add another lefty to the bullpen, and I would assume, I'm not acting like I'm a Braves expert, but I'm assuming they would kick Martin Perez to the bullpen for the postseason as well.
Mm-hmm.
So they do have some lefties, but I feel a lot more confident if you told me the Phillies are dealing with Bryce Elder in game 2 and Grant Holmes in game 3 than I would if I'm facing the Cubs with Boyd and Peterson and Ibanaga.
Yeah, I definitely don't like the matchup against the Cubs with the left-handed pitching. That's a problem. And you got to go on the road for all 3. Remember, in the wild card round, you play all 3 on the road.
And I'm not a fan of that when you got all those lefties. It's one thing if they were coming to Philadelphia, then you can maybe wrap your head around it.
Yeah. 609-403-0973. Text board is always open. And if you're watching on the YouTube channel, you can message us on the YouTube. Jeff does chime in on YouTube. No Cubs, no Cubs. Got another message on YouTube. What's your opinion of the pitching? Do you think the trades they made make the pitching better in the pen? Well, yeah, I think it's made it better in the pen. So far, we haven't got a chance to really see that play out. So on paper, you add it to arms that you feel are an upgrade over what you had, because quite frankly, now Killian came in last night and looked like Cy Young. I mean, he came in and had 2 strikeouts, which is pretty solid. But how are they going to use these guys? We don't really know what their roles are. So I think Killian, who has 8 saves this year, has a chance. I kind of view him like maybe in the Jeff Hoffman role from a couple of years ago, where when they got he was like he was like a lower leverage guy. And then they kind of moved him into a higher leverage situation, and he was really good during the regular season. But maybe he's that guy that pitches like Hoffman did. I guess it was 3 years ago now, maybe 4 years. I don't know, the year that they lost to the Mets.
That'd be 2 years ago.
Mets in the wild card. He wasn't the closer, and they kind of was pitching really well, but they didn't pitch him in higher leverage situations.
Right.
I think Killian might get a chance. Him and Bolin right now are just 2 unknowns. And then the lefty, Raley, I would imagine that he's going to be the highest lefty on the depth chart, unless they still look at Alvarado and want him to take that role back. And Alvarado's pitched better as of late.
He has pitched better as of late, and I would maybe think that it could be a matchup-based deal where they know that Alvarado, if he's pitching against when he's going against free swingers, maybe Raley's the guy you bring in against more disciplined lineups.
You're home of the Sixers, 97.3 ESPN. LeBron James plays here this October. Listen to LeBron and the Sixers on 97.3 ESPN. Hey, we got Phillies fastball on the way. We'll see what Jeff and Oscar think about Luis Arraez in the 4-hole. That was a little bit of a surprise yesterday. What do the guys think about it today? We'll discuss, plus Dave Gallagher will get a view from a former major leaguer, 9-year veteran. Dave Gallagher joins me, as always, at 5 o'clock tonight, and he had some interesting things to say about this as he was watching the game last night. So he'll be on tonight at 5 o'clock. As always, Mike McGarry from the ballpark with all the news and notes you need on the Sports Bash. Coming up next, it's today's Phillies fastball segment. Jeff and Oscar on the Sports Bash. 2:30 Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. Time for the Phillies fastball segment. The fastest conversation of Phillies baseball on the radio. Oscar Budijan, Jeff Kerr are here. And Phillies fastball is brought to you by Ventnor Social, the place to go to watch every Phillies game, including to take on the Nationals, trying to wrap up the series here. Phil's going for the sweep against the Nats last night. Jesus Luzardo, and welcome Luis Arraez. He gets 2 RBI in the game as well. Let's bring them in. The boys are back in town as it's Phillies fastball here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. Jeff Kerr covers the Phillies. Oscar Budijan, former play-by-play voice of the Phillies on the Spanish radio network. And, of course, they join me every day for Phillies fastball here on the Sports Bash. Well, Oscar, for one night only, Luis Arraez driving in runs, doubles, singles. It all worked out. And this is a proponent of having guys on base in front of him. We were talking about Trey Turner. We've been ripping him a little bit for his defense, but the last month, 360 on base, over 300 batting average. He was on base a couple times last night. He got drive home. What did you think of the lineup last night with Arraez hitting in the 4-hole?
I think the most important thing yesterday, I do believe, is the energy that you felt by having Arraez in that lineup basically changes this team, or changed this team, at least for a day. I do believe we said that the 2 big things he brought was his ability to make contact as well as his energy, and he showed both of them yesterday. This guy can hit. I mean, he can hit 1, he can hit 2, he can hit 3, 4, 5, whatever you want to put him. He's a hitting machine. He doesn't get a lot of balls, base on balls, but he's going to be getting on base a lot. I was surprised, to be honest with you, to put him. I could have. I mean, both Jeff and I, we talked about it, that we thought he was going to be the leadoff on this team. And look, I went back and looked at his history. The most he's had runs is about 80. He's not a great runner. So, look, I think it's a combination of overthinking this by the analytics team, as well as seeing where this lineup is with a Trey Turner that is hitting right now and deciding to put him fourth. We'll see. I think this is not a finished chapter. I think it's going to be an evolution, and we'll see where this ends up. But so far, so good.
I thought a lot of people ate some crow last night, if you want to be honest, with this whole thing. Sorry, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can.
You got a little bit of an echo.
Anyway, I feel like a lot of people are eating crow with this thing right now. And sorry, guys, hold on. Go ahead, Oscar. Yeah, I'm hearing that.
Yeah, Jeff's got a little bit of an echo behind him there. So, but yeah, you say eating crow, which for one night it worked out. I get that, but it's interesting because. Look, I said I don't want to poo-poo it. I don't want to just rip him and say, what are you doing? Hit him in the 4-hole. It works if guys are on base ahead of him. He hits 400 with runners in scoring position. But that only matters if Trey Turner's on base, Bryce Harper's on base, and Schwarber on base. And by the way, Schwarber and Harper, both 350-plus OPS. Turner finally coming around in that category. If those 3 guys are constantly on base and you have Arraez hitting behind them, I can live with him hitting in the 4-hole. It's just that we have this mentality of the guy hitting number 4 has to look like Dave Kingman and have a mustache and hit the ball over the fence and hit 201.
Look, it's baseball has changed so much. This is a great example why baseball what baseball changed so much. And look, it is different. I mean, I've never seen a smaller fourth hitter in my life, but other than that, it's fine. I mean, he compares himself to Rod Carew and to Tony Wing. When did you see Rod Carew and Tony Wing hitting fourth? I mean, never. So
they were leadoff hitters.
Look, it's a different world.
Yeah, the fact that they have him hitting that 4-hole, I wonder how long they would do that if it wasn't working. And why that was their first choice. I think it was their first choice because they want Schwarber to hit in that first inning. They want to get him more at bats. And if one guy gets on base, you get to Arraez.
Look,
how I'm looking at it.
Baseball, to me, the analytics team sat down. They look at our entire lineup. To me, the key to this is Turner. Turner is right now hitting. And with Turner hitting, it opens the door. Schwarber is in a massive slump right now. I mean, on a massive slump. I mean, it's like I'm very surprised how big of a slump he has. He's in right now. Harper is hitting okay. I mean, right now he's beginning to kind of regain a little bit of what he did over the last 4 games. He's been hitting, but to me, this is a move. This is not set in stone. I do believe they're going to be making some changes.
All right, Jeff, go ahead and try again.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now. That sounded like a commercial that I've heard.
Yeah, it's hard hearing yourself talk when you're literally hearing yourself talk. I'm like, Oscar, just go.
All right, so give us, because you thought that, now I'm echoing. You thought, Jeff, that Arraez would hit leadoff, and they didn't go that way. We thought Turner would hit in the 4-hole.
Yeah, you know what, Mike? I honestly thought it was going to be Arraez, right? I thought it was going to be Arraez's leadoff error, and when they put him at 4th, I'm like, okay, I kind of see where they're going with this. Didn't overreact or anything like that. I didn't agree with it, but I definitely, I was like, okay, so let's see how this works. If they get guys on base, this could really work out. And one refreshing thing I liked last night, Oscar, was how patient he was at the plate, right? I felt... Now I'm echoing.
He's a hitting machine, guys. Forget about the echoing.
The only guy who's not echoing is Oscar.
I can hear you fine. I think, look, this guy can hit anywhere. The question is, how do you, and to me, the key to Arraez is how he unlocks this lineup that has been so still for the entire year. I mean, this team, with all the stars that it has, is 18th in baseballs in runs scored. How can you unlock this lineup? And look, yesterday hitting in the 4th hole, he looked good. I mean, so maybe they'll hit him there for the next few days, and then we'll see what happens. I mean, if Turner comes in a slump, I would have hit Schwarber 4th, in my opinion. If you ask me what I would have done, I start with Arraez, then I go with Turner, then I go Harper, Schwarber, and then try to get Schwarber going. I mean, Schwarber needs to start move. You got to move things around for him. And they didn't do it, and fine. I mean,
what about what we talked about the other day, Oscar, of heading Turner in the 4-hole if you want, but then having the 3 lefties back to back to back? It seems that Mattingly wanted to avoid all the lefties together, but you still have it because at the back end of the lineup, he had Marsh, Stott, Crawford, and that led into Schwarber leading off.
Yeah, look, look. The good thing is that it worked. It shows yesterday the potential that this lineup had. I'm telling you, this guy's going to unlock this lineup. You see, and the energy he brings. This guy gets on base. He's always on base, and you're going to see that passion, that energy coming in. And look, I think my biggest surprise yesterday was not the hitting. It was more the fielding. I think Harper looked better than I would have expected in right field. And look, the rest of it, there weren't many chances for Stott. I mean, he made a good play and very limited chances for Arraez. I'm telling you, Arraez is not Bryson Stott at second base. He's a lot more stiff. I mean, you're going to see that. I mean, and I'm concerned about the second base shortstop combination we have right now. By the way,
and I'll tell you guys, Jeff, as well. Arraez, his metrics have been very good, but he doesn't have great range at second base. One of his problems is he doesn't have the range. Bohm, not great range at first, and Harper, not a great right fielder. That little triangle of right field, second base, and first base is limited on that side of the ball, regardless of what the metrics say. And Oscar, a lot of people are giving Ron Washington a lot of credit for Arraez. Yeah, because he has not been a very good defensive player throughout his career, but this year he has had a good year.
That's why everybody was so reluctant to sign Luis Arraez, right? Because he was a bit. I remember when he got $12 million. I'm like, I like the guy, but let's be real here. Like, he's not a good defensive player, and we all know where he can play.
Yeah. Look, why do you think this guy has been traded 6 times? Because he's a man without a position. I mean, he's a good hitter. He's an old-fashioned hitter that makes contact, but he doesn't have a position. His position is either first base or second base, and based on everything that I talked to, he's a better second baseman than he's a first baseman. So it is a concern.
Well, the fact, too, guys, that he asked specifically that he didn't want to move off of second base, it seems that he has gotten some sort of confidence at playing that position and said, look, I finally feel locked into a home. I want to stay there. So there have been some people that said, well, why does he get to pick where he wants to play? Well,
exactly.
I think
That's why
wanted him as comfortable as possible.
You're blaming Trey Turner, but the guy you should be going after is Luis Arraez. He's the one who said, I'm not moving.
Yeah,
Exactly. All right, let's.
I'll add Turner. I'll add Turner to that list. I mean, because if Turner would have moved to the outfield, let's say Turner moved to left field, and then you have March and.
Well, he's
and De La
never
Cruz.
played left field. That's the problem.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, if he would move to left field, which is a position that is probably from the outfield, is probably the easiest position to play. Then what happens is you just move Stock to shortstop, and you keep Arraez at second, and then you have Baum at third and Harper at first base, and it's less of damaging than what you have right now. We're just moving too many pieces. But hey, it's work in progress. We'll see what happens.
I guess a lot of the people want to know, how come no one has just asked Turner, hey, would you be adverse to moving to the outfield?
That's a question for Trey Turner.
I think he's probably going to say, I mean, at this stage, he's probably going to say that he would do it if the team needs to. I mean, that's my guess.
Right, because Mattingly got asked, Dombrowski got asked, and they both said zero consideration. Has anybody actually asked Trey, hey, would you have considered moving to the outfield?
And Trey hasn't been around in the clubhouse, so it's hard to ask him.
Okay, if that's the case,
to
then
me,
right.
the answer is going to be right now, he needs to end the political answer. I'll do what the team needs me to do, and I mean, that's what he's going to answer.
Okay, well, let me ask, Jeff, you just hinted at, well, he's never played left field before. I mean, that's a fair retort. However, do we really think Trey Turner, an elite Major League Baseball player, couldn't handle catching a ball in left field?
I mean, look, 2016 was the last time he played the outfield at all, and that was center field. That's why I think this is a conversation for after the season. Like, Bryce Harper has played right field before. Like, it hasn't been in 4 years, but he's played right field. Trey Turner hasn't played. You know when the last time Trey Turner played? How old were you guys the last time Trey Turner played in the outfield?
Well, that was 10 years ago, so I was a whopping 38. I hadn't even hit my 40s yet, and I felt a heck of a lot better.
I was 28.
I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying, I think that he is maybe I'm giving him too much credit for being an elite athlete. I think he's a guy with a lot of speed who can track a fly ball and probably hit. Of all the guys, if I said, hey, I want to see you go play, because there was a report, I don't know what you want to say about it, was that the team internally was thinking about asking Stott to move to the outfield. If you were going to ask, now you've moved Sosa to the outfield in the middle of the season and don't seem to have a problem with that. I got to think that Turner is just as, if not more athletic than Sosa is.
I need to ask Matt about that because I felt like that was a typo.
Okay, well, then
I felt that was a typo, but I could be wrong.
Look, guys. I think the other thing we should talk about is the bullpen and what we saw yesterday from Killian. He has a big arm. To me, he's like Boland. I mean, are those guys that are unproven, that have good arms, that has potential, but have never played in the postseason. So I do like Riley. I think Riley is going to be Riley's going to be the best setup guy we're going to have in this rotation. I mean, in this in the bullpen. I do believe Brooke Riley is going to be huge for this team. Huge.
All right. Before we get out of here, we did have some messages, people commenting. One person asked about Austin Hayes reunion. Anybody in on that? He got DFA'd today.
No.
That was a quick one.
There you go.
Well, you know how Philly fans, when they had a guy. Now, Hayes was not very popular here because he didn't produce, but he is a right-handed bat that can play the outfield for you if you're looking to beef up. Because what were we talking about Oscar yesterday? They just don't have a lot of depth defensively, is something, or bats off the bench, stuff like that.
Marcelo Zuna just got DFA. I mean, if he would have an open position at ZH, I mean, I'll definitely consider the guy. Even though he's been declining significantly, but that guy's a professional hitter.
Can we give Rob Thompson the shout out right now? Harrison Bader, Matt Strom, and Taijuan Walker all DFA, and they won the division.
Look,
the Harrison Bader story is bizarre. I mean, they're trying not to pay him.
I respect that guy tremendously. What he did, how he managed all the pieces. Now the biggest question, and I think Darwin Gutierrez just put it on there. Painter and Nola as the fourth and fifth starter. I do believe the Braves blocked us with Miley, and the Padres blocked us with Casey Mize, two guys that we could have had here.
You know what's scary, guys? If the Phillies are in the wild card round and win, Aaron Nola or Andrew Painter is going to start game one. of the NLDS.
Yeah, that's not ideal. Not ideal because Dave Dombrowski did say he didn't think they found anything significantly better. And by the way, speaking of Andrew Painter, he will throw tonight against Jake Irvin. Painter looking to win his first game. He has 1-8 since the start of the season for Painter, 6.72 ERA, which means, guys, we'll probably get a look at some of the bullpen arms tonight, I would imagine. At least, well, we saw Killian last night, but I'm very interested to see in what roles these guys stack up in as the season goes on. You're hitting about the 100-game mark now. What kind of roles are these two new guys going to be in? Because last night it's a 5-0 game.
Got bumped down. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Who do you say? Kirkering, you said?
I think Kirkering got bumped down.
Yeah, I think Kirkering is bumped down. I mean, I think Alvarado is pitching better. So to me right now is Durant, probably Brooke Riley, then a combination of Bolin and Alvarado and the new guy Killen. To me, those are the five, and then comes the back end of this.
All right. Well, Phillies fastball tonight. It's the Phillies and the Nationals. Andrew Painter gets the start, and we'll be talking about that tomorrow right here on Phillies fastball with Jeff and Oscar on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. All right, guys, we'll do it again tomorrow. Thanks.
Go Phils.
Hey, guys.
All right, there we go. Phillies fastball is always brought to you by Ventnor Social, where go to watch all the Phillies games all season long, including tonight as the Phillies take on the Nationals. And, of course, Phillies fastball brought to you by Ventnor Social, 6417 Ventnor Avenue in Ventnor. I don't know what's going on with Jeff's mic there. We'll get that all fixed up tomorrow. I don't know what was happening there. We're trying to figure that out. Why people out there. But I'll tell you about Clark's Moving and Storage. If you are looking to make a big move, my friends at Clark's Moving and Storage, they can help you out. They are fantastic. They moved all my stuff when I moved. They can do it for you as well. They're one of the largest companies in the area. You trust them. Store your stuff at their storage unit down in Rio Grande, and they'll do all the moving for you. They got me done, everything. Not a scratch, not a dent, nothing. 609-889-0780. Call Clark's for your big move today. Do you remember these events? We'll tell you about them coming up next. All right, 252. Do you remember these things happened on this day? What is it? August 5th? 1986, Steve Carlton becomes the second pitcher in Major League Baseball history to get 4,000 strikeouts. He joins Nolan Ryan, and he's the first left-handed pitcher to do it. Since then, one lefty and one righty has also done it. Roger Clemens and Randy Johnson. 1986, lefty Steve Carlton had a pretty good slider. That's how you strike out 4,000 guys. You just throw that little slide piece up there.
We'll never see those numbers hit again because those guys need longevity.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you get a lot of strikeouts. These guys' arms just can't last as long as these guys do. You know, like they might strike out 11 guys per 9 innings, but they only do it in 5 innings. These guys were pitching 7, 8 innings every time they went out there.
Yeah, I heard John Smoltz talk about this the other day about how like a lot of these guys are not throwing their legs enough.
99, Mark McGuire becomes the 16th player to join the 500 home run club. He hits it off of Andy Ashby. He would hit his 501 later the same game. That happened on this day. And in 2012, Usain Bolt won the 100-meter final at the London Olympics in 9.63 seconds. That's a new Olympic record. And I bring this one up because I was watching a commercial last night for some medication, and Usain Bolt's the guy pitching the medicine.
I mean, he might be the perfect person to pitch the medicine, right?
I don't even know what medicine was for. I feel like every single commercial is for some sort of medicine.
And then the side effects are worse than the actual
The
problem.
side effects are unbelievable. And Usain Bolt has these terrible side effects. I feel bad for the guy who ran 9.63 100-meter dash. Jeez. All right, Sports Bass Live coming up next hour. Vic Fangio's presser at 3:30. You'll hear what he thinks about the Eagle defense. Football at 4 today with Adam Caplan. Everybody, stay right there. All right, when the Phillies lineup drops, we'll have it for you this hour on the Sports Bass Live, 97.3 ESPN. Mike Gill with you till 6. Hang out with us. Nick Nurse confirmed that LeBron James will essentially be the point guard for the Philadelphia 76ers. So how's that all going to work out? I'm very intrigued by this. I know, like, we keep hearing, like, point forward. They're essentially for this team next year. Maxey, kind of a playmaking off-ball role. LeBron is the guy that brings the ball up the court and just kind of facilitates everybody. Nurse said he's an offensive creator. He's certainly a guy that will bring the ball up the floor and try to create for himself and others. He's really good for others. And he averaged 8 assists each of the last 2 years. And this is a guy that can make the right pass, make the right play. And it could be a 41-year-old LeBron James that says, you know what, in my 41-year-old year, let me try to do something that I've never done before, right? What is something that LeBron James has never done before?
Well, I will push back on that. He did it with the Lakers. When they won the championship that year, he was the point guard.
Right, but I'm asking
or point forward, whatever.
I'm wrong. He has done it before. I was going to say, one thing he has not done before is lead the league in assists. And he did lead the league in assists one year with the Lakers in 2019-2020. He averaged 10 assists per game.
Yeah.
So my question was going to be, is this something that he could do? Average double-digit assists and add that to – I feel like LeBron is just trying to find more ways that he could add to things that you talk about him. Win a championship with 4 different teams. Okay, and maybe some people aren't that impressed by that. Okay, fine. Lead the league in assists. Average double assists. Maybe he tries to average a double-double this year. Who knows? That's something that LeBron has never done before. The year that he averaged 10 assists per game, that season, he averaged about 8 rebounds. So that year, he scored 25 points, 10 assists, and 8 rebounds. So maybe he's trying to do something completely different. And I for one, think 41-year-old LeBron James would probably look at being the facilitator as something that he would embrace. In other words, you know what? I already lead the NBA in scoring. I have more points than any player in NBA history. And sure, I would love to keep tacking on to that number, but I don't need to. I've already accomplished that. I'm the greatest scorer in the history of the NBA. So why don't I put my feet up and let Tyrese Maxey score, and Jaylen Brown score, and Joel Embiid score?
Well, this is something that I had brought up to you previously because I had Brendan Scoopy Robinson on my show a couple of weeks ago. And he brought up the fact that he thinks LeBron is going to use his time with the Sixers to climb the all-time assists leader chart. Because no one's going to catch Stockton necessarily, but the idea that LeBron could potentially finish his career top 5 in points and assists is another chip in, not a chip, but another item on the resume.
So in his career, do you think he averages more assists per game or rebounds per game?
I would assume it'd be assists.
7.5 rebounds, 7.
That's amazing.
Right there. He averages LeBron James 26.8 points a game, 7.5 rebounds, and 7.4 assists.
Really quick question, because I would have to pull up his numbers. I don't have it in front of me, and I'll pull it up momentarily here. Do you have it in front of you?
Yeah.
Did he average more rebounds during the Heat years?
With the Heat, he averaged, ironically enough, with the Heat, 7.6, with the Lakers, 7.7, and with Cleveland, 7.3.
So Cleveland was the fewest. Okay, interesting. I was wondering that because there was that time, if you don't remember or not, but they had him playing a lot of power forward in Miami.
The most assists he averaged were in L.A.
Right.
The least amount of assists were in Miami.
Right. In Miami, he was kind of like this power forward who ran the break, Whereas in Cleveland and LA, he was more of like a small forward, point forward functionality.
Well, I feel like, is this the best fit for him in Philadelphia? Because everybody keeps wondering, like, how are they going to make this all work? And Nick Nurse comes out. I think he was on the takeoff. Was he on with John
He was
Clark?
on John Clark's pod that dropped this morning.
Okay. So he comes out and says, basically confirms that they're looking at him to be the point guard, which at that point, you're saying, okay, this is now confirmed what we've been hearing reported coming from the coach's mouth, that we look at him as the guy who's going to be the point guard. And at that moment, you're kind of almost like, this could work out. That's the way I'm looking at it, is if LeBron James is buying in to being the facilitator on the team, that kind of does answer the questions of, is one ball enough? Well, LeBron James is the one delivering the basketball. That's one guy that essentially might not have to get his all the time. And at 41 years old, I do think LeBron James would be willing to kind of defer to Maxey or to Jaylen Brown on any given night.
But again, I don't think he ever was coming here to not be that guy. I don't think you're a guy who says, I'm going to take $4 million and then demand the ball. Like, I feel like LeBron, when you look back at his statement where he says, I want to help elevate the Sixers to win a championship. It doesn't sound like a guy to me that's like, give me the ball or else. You know what I mean?
Well, and listen, last year in LA, he averaged 20 a game, which is, since his rookie year, he averaged 20.9. Last year, he also averaged 20.9. So his first year and his most recent year, they're the two lowest points per game. If LeBron goes down to about 14 points a game, is that going to be the worst thing in the world? If he scored 14, but his assist numbers went back closer to his 10.2 that he averaged in LA.
If you ask me what LeBron's numbers are going to be this year, my working assumption has always been it was going to be 18.5 points a game, 10.5 assists per game, and about 7 rebounds a game. That would be my working assumption.
So I do like the idea, though, that the Sixers are actually, though, coming out and kind of saying, hey, this is the role that he's going to play. Get ready. It's going to be point guard LeBron James, which means, what does that mean for Maxey? What kind of jump does Maxey take as the off-ball guy who doesn't have to bring the ball up? Because one of the things I think with Maxey last year that we saw a little bit was he started to play too many minutes. He was worn down at times. So, and a lot of those minutes are spent bringing the ball up the court and controlling the offense and running the offense. Well, now he doesn't have to do that as much. He can be the guy off the ball and creating off the pass instead of having to bring the ball up in that capacity.
But it's also a function of, I think the 76ers under their new leadership with Mike Gansey, Bob Myers, Jameer Nelson, I think that in their conversation with Nick Nurse, I think there's an understanding that there's a way the league functions, and they need to keep up with the Joneses. The best teams in the league don't have just one primary ball handler. They have about 3-4 guys who could all interchange. So like LeBron may be the lead ball handler, but there's many instances where they come down the court and they can switch it to Max. They can switch it to Jaylen Brown. They can switch it around. It doesn't have to be, this isn't 1995 Rod Strickland.
No, and you mentioned it. Jaylen Brown basically brought the ball up for, he
Boston.
was the role that we're talking about for Boston last year. Maxey was in that role for the Sixers last year. Edgecombe had that role at times when Maxey was off the floor last year. They got 4 interchangeable guys that can handle the ball, which I think is a big benefit for them, because last year you really only had Maxey and Edgecombe. You really struggled to find a guy to bring the ball and control the offense when Maxey wasn't on the floor.
And you saw how that affected the offense last year. The offense sometimes stagnated because teams said, well, you only have 2 guys who can handle the ball. So if we can isolate those 2 guys, it's going to hurt them getting the ball to their teammates.
Well, and the other big thing is, when you have LeBron James late in the game, he might have 8-9 assists, and maybe he's passing, but he can still put the ball on the floor when he needs to and get the job done. He can almost lull you to sleep all game long, but in the big moment of the game, he's the guy that takes the big shot or backs you down, makes the right pass, using his size to find the open guys.
Well, that was a key that I have been arguing with the hitters and the idiots on, online, which is LeBron in LA was a vortex. When he would drive to the basket, defenses, they just would compulsively collapse on him. So the reason why guys like Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic and all those other guys had success in LA was because defenses were still so keen on LeBron that in those fourth quarters, he would drive the ball down the lane. Everyone's like, oh, no, we got to stop LeBron from dunking on our face. And then there'd be a guy wide open in the corner.
Well, and that's another big thing is, do the Sixers have enough shooting around LeBron now that if he's going to be that guy? You just talked about they have Luka. You've got Austin Reeves out there. Those were two guys that really would be interested to see, who benefits, gets the open looks. Who's the guy who's going to get all these extra looks now that LeBron is in charge of the offense? Because I would imagine you're still going to have to put a lot of focus on LeBron James when he's now dominating the ball a lot.
I think this is where the signing of Anthony Simons comes into play, because Simons is this great shooter coming off the bench. And if there's a game where Edgecombe or whoever, maybe they're not having as good of a game, Simons can be the next guy up to come in there and maybe catch that ball in the fourth quarter when you need it.
Well, one guy I thought was interesting for them last year, the Lakers, is Hachimura. Hachimura shot 44% from three. Why? Well, Luka, Austin Reeves, you got so many other guys. I can't pay attention to you either. You're getting almost 4 3 attempts per game. Who's in the role of Hachimura here?
Edgecombe.
So if Edgecombe is in the role of Hachimura, can he knock down 44% of his threes? By the way, Kennard last year, he's another one. Kennard didn't play a lot of games, a lot of minutes, but in the minutes and games that he played, he knocked down 45% of his threes. He shot 3 threes per game. So that could be your Anthony Simons, who comes in, gets 3 threes a night. If he knocks down 45%, that's a big time game for that guy.
So for context, last year, VJ Edgecombe averaged 5.6 3-point attempts a game. So without LeBron, he was already getting up over 5 3-point attempts a game. So I feel like that is not exactly a far-fetched thing to ask him to do again.
No, and look, LeBron, I definitely think it could change by the night. One night, LeBron dishes out 11. The next night, he's the scorer. The next night, LeBron decides, I'm going to backseat it to Tyrese.
That's a sign of a great team, is the fact that a great team has balance. It doesn't need to be one guy every night. One of the reasons why the Spurs and the Knicks both got to the NBA Finals last year was because those teams were built on the idea of, hey, we have a superstar, megastar player, but there are other guys on the team on a night-to-night basis to pick up the slack.
Like if somebody says, hey, who's the number one option on the Sixers? I would say, what night of the week is it? Who's defending? What matchups are they? They're going to be able to exploit each team differently based on their personnel. Like, one of the things about the Sixers when they played the Celtics in the playoffs last year is they were able to exploit the center position because they had no one that could stop Joel Embiid. So in a series against the Celtics, Joel Embiid is the guy. Well, you play the Knicks, and you have Mitchell Robinson not there anymore. But, you have a guy who's a little bit more defensive-minded that maybe takes Joel out a little bit. Okay, where's the weakness on their team? Well, it's Jalen Brunson. Who's Brunson now going to defend on the Sixers? Because before, he might defend Edgecombe, or he might defend Maxey, or, not a good matchup. But if LeBron's bringing the ball up, and I would imagine like a Bridges probably defends LeBron. Well, then where does that leave Brunson? So it depends on who the matchups are, on who becomes the big scorer, the finisher in the big moment each night of the week. That's where the Sixers right now, many teams, they only have their one star. That has to be the closer for them. All of a sudden, the Sixers have an embarrassment of riches where they didn't have one of those guys before. Now they have 4 or 5. And
that was the weakness of the OKC Thunder that exposed by the Spurs in the postseason in the conference finals. The Spurs exposed the Thunder because after SGA, the other guys are not there's too much of a gap between SGA and the next guy, especially when Williams went down for that series. So for the Sixers, they're a team that has, to paraphrase, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 different bona fide high-level scorers.
And that's a good point about Oklahoma City. As the playoffs went on and they had some injury issues, teams basically said, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, you're going to have to beat us. And they didn't have the depth because they lost a couple of their key secondary scorers. And if Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was getting doubled or they were just saying, you're not beating us, they didn't have the second guy or the third guy to go to as they got all the way to that Spurs series.
And you know who did? The Spurs did. Because there were nights when Wembayama maybe not been great, but you know who was great? A Castle or a Harper. So for the Sixers, I think the Sixers are looking around the league and saying, what are the successful teams doing? How did the Nuggets win a couple of years ago, Mike? You remember. It wasn't because Jokic was just great. It's because he had someone to pass the ball.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Murray was big then.
It was good and important.
To say. They also added that second level player. You had Murray, an all-star level player. You had superstar, obviously, but you would need that next level of player. And Michael Porter that year was very good. They also had I can't remember his name.
And Aaron Gordon is really
but no, there was a guy off the bench that came in and hit a bunch of threes.
You mean KCP?
Guys that you're KCP, but no, there was another guy that was on that.
Oh, Brown?
Yeah, Bruce
Brown?
I got it. I'm too old. I can't remember who. But it was, they had a guy that was his role. He came off the bench. He hit a bunch of threes. When you have those extra options that you don't need the same guy. Now, listen, you need your stars to show up every single night. So who's the guy late in the game?
Correct.
Is going to change from night to night. But I am kind of intrigued that the Sixers have kind of come out. Nick Nurse has come out and has said, hey, no, we plan on going with LeBron as kind of the point guard for this team right from Jump Street. So
It was Brown, yeah.
it was
He was on
rough.
that team, yep. We remember correctly. It's just we see so many names every day. Just lose track.
A couple of things on LeBron in this offense. One, we're taking a look at with him on board. I think Maxey benefits because he can be off the ball a lot. He's such a ball of energy. He can run around. I'm not saying he's going to shoot it like Curry, but one of the things that's a pain in the ass with Curry is he's running around off screen. The person defending him has to run around with him all night long. They're wearing that guy out. I think Maxey can be a similar guy where he's running around off screens and get the ball off screens, and then he's getting the defender who's now run all the way around the court, fighting off screens to come get him.
And to your point, that was one of the issues when the Cavs played the Warriors in the NBA Finals. Over time, they had to get Kyrie off of Steph Curry because Steph Curry was wearing out Kyrie on the defensive end, just making him running around all day long. So
one of the hardest things you have to deal with when you defend Curry in his prime is him running around the court.
And Maxey, he might not be as elite of a shooter as Curry, but he's a good enough shooter to get to account for him. So you can't just let him run around unhinged.
609-403-0973. 609-403-0973. That's the way you can get involved. Do you like the Sixers going with LeBron James as the point guard on this team? I kind of like it. And I envision Maxey really benefiting from this the most.
I love it because I think it's number one, the most logical thing to do. Number two, I'm happy that everyone's admitting it. And number three, I think the guy that gets overlooked in all of this, who's going to benefit, and I don't know what the odds are to pull them up, but I think Jaylen Brown is also going to benefit a lot because he was on a team last year where he was basically doing so much heavy lifting, and now he's going to a team where he doesn't have to do the heavy lifting. He could be a guy who puts up crazy numbers and be an MVP candidate.
Well, we'll look to see. I think Brown has been it almost is like Brown is going out of to let people know that he's enjoying this now. He's skydiving in Egypt. I mean, he's doing all this stuff where you feel like, hey, it's almost like when Tom Brady left the Patriots.
Went to the Bucks.
And now he let his personality a little bit.
I think Jaylen Brown said on his Twitch, he said that he felt so disrespected in Boston that he doesn't even know what to do with all the love in Philadelphia.
Well, there's love now, but you got to do it on the court as well.
That's true.
You're home for the Sixers, 97.3 ESPN, the Sports Bash Live. We'll have more Sixers as things happen, of course, LeBron James. Tomorrow is the Jaylen Brown introductory press conference, and we will have that for you here on 97.3 ESPN. That is right at 2 o'clock, so we'll have that sometime in the first hour when he approaches the podium. Coming up, Vic Fangio spoke today, and we'll hear what he had to say about his new Eagle defense. About Michael Carter. I talked about him the other day as a name to kind of keep an eye on. What did Fangio have to say about Michael Carter? Plus, he talked about Jahad Campbell, Cooper DeJean, Nolan Smith, Jalen Hunt. That's next. This is the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. 326 Sports Fest. Brandon in Dennisville says, just tuning in. Have you discussed your thoughts on Arraez batting cleanup? Not the spot I think anybody expected. Love his energy. Definitely a spark. The team need it right now. Actually, Brandon, we have talked a lot about Arraez hitting leadoff today, and so far, so good. We were a little surprised that they went with him there. I, for one, said I don't hate it. I was willing to give it a shot. It wouldn't be what I would have done, but I wouldn't have said that I'm right. So that's kind of how we address that. We'll talk more about it a little bit later on. Former Major Leaguer Dave Gallagher will join me at 5 o'clock tonight. Then Mike McGarry live from the ballpark. Don Mattingly speaking here soon. The Phillies lineup is out, and it's brought to you by Chachi's 13th Floor. Check out Chachi's 13th Floor on the White Horse Pike in Apseakin. It is now open, and if you text your name and where you're from right now to 609-403-0973, you can win a $100 gift card to Chachi's 13th Floor at Rafici's, now open on the White Horse Pike in Apseakin. Here's the lineup tonight. Schwarber, Turner, Harper, Arraez, Bohm, Marsh, Realmuto, Stott, and Crawford. Pretty much the same lineup as last night. And that's brought to you by our friends at Chachi's 13th Floor at Rafici's, now open. Fantasy football season's here. Book your fantasy football league draft at Chachi's 13th Floor. Just for $20 a person, your draft package includes food and beer, and you can check that all out on the White Horse Pike in Apseakin. And don't forget, text your name and where you're from right now to 609-403-0973. And if the Phillies scored exactly 13 runs tonight, you could win a $100 gift card. And if they do not, you're still entered for a $25 gift card, which we will randomly select on Friday's show. So that is your Phillies lineup tonight. You know who's a big Phillies fan? Vic Fangio. And here is what he had to say about his defense earlier today. This is the Eagles defensive coordinator, Vic Fangio, on the Sports Bash.
He's enjoying playing off the ball a little bit more. He says, that's more in a press situation. What have you seen from him playing more off?
Yeah, like we said earlier in the offseason, for a guy as tall as he is, he's got good movement. It's not press or nothing. He can play off. He can mirror routes. He can come out of a break. And I think it's good he's working on that. It's easy to always do what you're good at, and you need to work at deficiencies that you may need to incorporate into your game, and he's done a good job of that.
How has Jordan Davis gone about improving his pass rush moves?
Well, it first started, towards the end of the 24 season. He got in better shape. He's a much better pass rusher in the 330s than he is what he was. And that to me is the biggest thing. I think he's 6'6", right? Or what is he, 6'05", 6'07"? We'll call it 6'6" for discussion. He needs to be 6'6" when it's to his advantage, and he needs to bend his knees and be 6'3" when he needs to be. And when you're in better shape, weighing less, that's easier to do, and you can do it for a longer time. And that's what's made his game take off.
What are the offense implementing a new scheme? Do you work with them at all?
What's that?
With the offense implementing a new scheme,
right?
Do you work with them at all where they ask you to give certain looks during the course of practice, or?
Yeah, we do that with each other. Where I'll give them what they're looking for and vice versa.
What are your early impressions of Ebiketie on the edge?
He's made nice progress here. I think coming in the offseason and the 6 OTAs we had, it was kind of new to him. He was hesitant, not sure. I think he's made a lot of progress in that manner and is having a much better camp. And him and some of the other guys are taking advantage of the reps they're gaining with Grenard being out for a while.
With the two guys who are so good on the ball who are, you're that balance getting them the reps they need versus not holding the team back, and what are your impressions so far?
Yeah, it's hard, because there's a health part of that too, to where you don't want them or, one of in there against, say, your number one offense or even with your number one defense, because you're never quite sure what's going to happen. And so, yeah, it's going to take a long while. I mean, you guys can get off that topic. They're light years away.
I mean, from that perspective, you are invested in their development.
Yeah.
How do you balance all that?
It's not easy. We are invested in their development, but not at the detriment of our team.
You've spoken about trying to figure out the depth on the roster to a couple of frontline guys. How long does it take to know how you feel about the overall depth?
It's different at every position with every player. For instance, Michael Carter right now, I feel good about him playing nickel, playing safety if need be. Maybe some of the other DBs that are in that bag, not so yet, but that doesn't mean they won't get there. We don't have a lot of new young players on defense. So most of the guys that are here have some background with us. So it should we should be able to make those decisions a little quicker.
One of the guys who doesn't get talked about a lot, but the offensive players all raved about him on the scout team last year, Chance Campbell. What do you like about Chance?
Yeah, don't sleep on Chance now. You guys, when you make your list out there. We like Chance. Chance is a good football player. Had some injuries earlier in his career that, set him back. But since the day we picked him up last year, he's shown that he's a football player, and we like him. Interesting, last year we picked him up the last week of the preseason game. I don't remember the exact date. It was just a few days before the game. And he didn't need that acclimation period.
You said before that your preference in off ball is to not sub in packages, if need be. But has Trotter done anything to kind of put himself in the conversation of certain looks you would play him as opposed to Campbell?
Possibly. But Trott's had a very good camp. Trott, to me, along the same lines as we talked about with Makuba, looking better, moving better, playing better. And I just think it's not so much a conditioning and physical thing. It's more of knows what he's doing, seeing things quicker, faster, and playing faster. But he's had an excellent camp. It's the best I've seen him look since we've had him.
I know it's a relatively small sample size still, but do you have a sense of Sean Mannion as play caller and setting things up?
No, because there's no scoreboard out there, and we're doing a lot of call-up periods to where it's not scripted, and to kind of get him acclimated that way. And it's good to do that, but it's not a game, and I wouldn't be worried. Like I told him, we obviously got the best of yesterday's practice by a long shot. But that's the way it's been the last 2 years in training camp. The defense has gotten the best of the offense. So, not to, be too concerned.
As a follow-up to that, is there benefit for defense more under center, more play action, or we might have been expected years ago this season?
Yeah. Not that doesn't mean that there's a lot of teams that are primarily in the gun. There's some that on first, second down are a lot more under center. So this gives us a good look for those teams that we're going to be playing. So it's a good mix. We're still in the gun some out there on the early downs, and it does give us a good perspective and mix in practice that we probably haven't had the last couple of years.
Andy Dalton was talking about pure progression yesterday. A lot of people point to you as why the league has gone to so much pure progression. How does that differ as much as you can talk about it from the old?
What do you mean? What kind of progression?
Pure progressions. You just go 1, 2, pure.
Oh, from the quarterback standpoint.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're always hopeful of making the quarterback progress, not always have the first read, which is not always possible. But, I'm not really sure what you're going at there.
Well, a lot of people give you credit for why so many offenses run that way compared to the old school coverage.
Yeah. I'm not sure how or if I want to answer that.
In these next few years, we play more different stats than anything.
I don't think that's true, but we're high.
Based on the numbers I've seen, is that based on the matchups you get, or is that like with that?
Well, first off, the whole league as a whole is playing a lot more nickel, and there's many reasons for that. The biggest being the fullback has disappeared in the NFL, and he's been replaced by a third wideout or a second tight end who's a good receiver. So they're splitting out people more from the core of the formation than they ever used to. So that's one of the main reasons for playing more nickel. In 24, we played a lot of nickel one because I thought it put our best combination on the field whenever we could, and to a certain degree last year also. But I do kind of sense that the league is coming back a little bit. Not that there's an influx of a bunch of fullbacks right now, but they're maybe playing two tight ends. So I think there's a chance you'll see more base, not just from us, but from other people too.
Nick, what's only the Arraez trade?
Definitely going to improve their offense. We'll see how it does defensively. It'll be interesting. But you see some of these other guys? I mean, Castellanos, Strom, Bader, Walker. Man, Thompson did a hell of a job at managing those guys through to the playoffs last year.
Fangio getting out of there with a little hat tip to Rob Thompson, getting the team to the playoffs with a bunch of guys who all got DFA'd. Oh, man. He's like, you see who we had last year? Castellanos, Strom. Those guys all got DFA'd, and they made the playoffs. That's what you gave Thompson? Good grief. A couple things from Vic Fangio. I always like to kind of pull out some of the highlights for me. One thing is that he talked about Arnold Ebiketie, and he's a name that I think a lot of people are just, aren't paying that much of attention to. He's kind of like an under-the-radar sign, and he said he made nice progress here, and he said he's made a lot of progress in a manner that he's having a much better camp than he did in the OTAs, and him and some of the other guys are taking advantage of the rep they're getting with Grenard being out. So you're wondering if the Grenard thing is actually going to help this team down the road. I don't like Grenard being out and missing time, but if that means Ebiketie becomes a bigger part of the defense because of it, that could be something that becomes a blessing in disguise. So keep that in mind as well. I'm Mike Gill. This is the Sports Bash Live.
I was also going to say, Fangio talked about how you can't read too much into the offense struggling in camp because he says this happens every year. That basically
defense is always ahead.
The defense is always ahead, which Jalen Hurts was on NFL Network earlier today, and he says that he thinks the Eagles are benefiting from Fangio being the defensive mastermind on the other side of training camp.
I think the thing to keep in mind is, out here, it's really good for us competitively to go against a defense who has a built identity, right? We're an offense that doesn't necessarily have an identity. We know we're outside zone. Everybody throws around the understanding term, but we've got to see how that's going to look for the Eagles. And so I think just being very studious, being malleable in it, taking all the coaching and going out there and putting the best product on the field.
And look, he's not wrong. It's the fact who talked about it earlier this week, probably Andrew. Iron sharpens iron. When you get an opportunity to play against that defense every single day in practice, you should be better. All right, coming up, it is our Unsportsmanlike moment of the day. What did the show say this morning that has us perked up today? You don't want to miss it. It's next. You might even flip me off once you hear it. Don't go away. More Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
will be me on the highway any day.
Really? You still flip people
Oh, yeah.
off? You're flipping people
Oh,
off?
big time.
Oh, wow.
I just can't stand them.
Wait,
people are horrible.
Really? Or do you roll the window down? Is your hand extended out the window with the flip off, or is it just like?
It depends. It depends on the weather.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, oh yeah, man. I'm so over people on the roads that I'll just let it fly.
You love when people flip you off. I love if I could just get somebody to flip me off in the car.
Just sounds like you're a bad driver.
Pat, this would be a major problem for you because you would not get the impact that you were hoping for on the flip off because David Dennis Jr. was just laughing.
Oh, that's fine.
It would feed me for days.
It's all about how I feel. I don't really care about the person in the other car. It's for me personally.
Pat Costello's flipping people off. It's our Unsportsmanlike moment of the day. Listen to Unsportsmanlike weekday mornings 6 to 10 on 97.3 ESPN. I'm not a flip off somebody in the car. I have no road rage whatsoever. Like, I couldn't care less about what the person next to me, to the side, behind, nothing. I have no road rage in my history. What level of road rage do you have? Anybody out there listening? 609-403-0973. Are you a road rager? I feel like, Josh, you would be a road rager.
So I am nowhere near Pat Costello when it comes to this stuff. I am a road, what are we doing here, people, kind of guy.
I get frustrated at times, but I'm not beeping. I am 1,000% anti-honking horn.
Oh, I'll honk the horn.
You will never hear my horn honk.
See, I will honk if there's a certain situation. Like, for example, if I'm driving down, let's say, the Parkway, right? And someone cuts in front of me and then slows down. Now I'm getting to the edge where I might consider hitting that horn.
The only time I'm using the horn is if I feel there's a possibility of a crash and it's a quick. My horn has probably been honked less than 10 times in my life.
Or like if I'm at a stoplight and it turned green and I'm at 5 Mississippi and you still haven't moved, I'm going to beat my horn at you.
Maybe if it's like, hey, I'm there, I give you a quick little. I said, I implore a car company should have 2 horns. One side of the horn is for the friendly horn. Like, hey, you might be on your phone, you just want to move. And the other one is more, right. The other one is more, I don't like you, get out of my way. And that's like one of my buddies. He's a horn honker.
Okay.
And I'm embarrassed. I'm always embarrassed in the car when I'm with him because he's always honking the horn. To me, the horn honk.
Always honking. That should be very, very. The moment you hear a horn honk, it's like the moment you see cop lights. Like, it's not happening all the time. But with an emergency, you better move.
I want to know how many people in the listening audience consider themselves a horn honker. And Costello's saying flipping the bird. Like, yeah, listen, we live with a lot of crazy nutbags out there. I'm not honking my horn or flipping the bird. I just don't care enough. Listen, I am so unaffected by what other people are doing in their lives. I could care less. Too many people are so worried about what other people are doing. And the horn honk and the middle finger while you're driving, what is that accomplishing?
See, I think you're framing it a little wrong. While I do agree with you that the flipping the bird is going way too far, to me, it's not about being worried what other people are doing. It's about how what other people are doing is affecting everyone else, okay? If you're driving in a way that is putting other people at risk or in danger.
That's what I said. If I feel that there's the potential of a crash, the horn comes into play. It's a quick, hey, man, you're getting a little close to me. Not like for any other reason. You got people, hey, I mean, what are you laying on the horn for? What is wrong with you? To me, even though the person doing something and you're honking on the horn because of what they did, the level of horn that you use tells me more about you.
See, again, to me, the horn is a very, very rare circumstance. Pat Costello is talking about the flipping the bird. Like, he's getting to the point where he's throwing up the middle. He's doing Stone Cold Steve Austin on people.
Yeah.
You know, and to me, I think that's a little extreme because to me, the problem isn't that I've never been to the point where I've ever said bleep you to somebody while I'm driving. Now, I've been in many cases where I have the throw my hands up in the air saying what is going on, which I already know what's going on because in today's world, people are spending so much time on their phones instead of driving that now
That's where you need the secondary horn.
Or maybe we just need to get these people to
You don't think that's a good idea? The secondary horn. Yeah, where you push the horn and it's just like a like, hey man, I know what you're doing up there. I'm just giving you an alert. Like the light turned green. I'm paying attention. You're not.
I think it should be a function on, like, I have Waze in my car, for example. I can put input into my car that I just drove past somebody's on their phone. I think that should be.
What is that? How do you know that?
I can tell, man. You can see the person's head looking down. You see them swerving.
Oh, I thought you said the Waze app tells you when you
I
drove.
want the Waze app to have that option. I want to be able, like, you do a hazard for like construction or left lane.
Paul in Northfield says, I'm pretty sure Josh was behind me one day and I was frustrating him. He says, being in sales and being on the road 75% of my day, I see the craziest stuff on the road. I get frustrated, but I don't freaking go crazy because I don't know what anyone else is capable of. Paul, I'm with you, man. I literally, if my horn has been honked 10 times in my life, I would be surprised.
I would say I probably honk a horn twice a year.
Phyllis says, I've been driving a bus for 30 years. I've developed road rage over the years, but I'm cursing in my head because there are kids on the bus. People can't drive. Now, that's great.
See, that's when you need the inner monologue is the fun part.
But she needs the friendly horn. Phyllis needs the friendly horn. You're on the bus. It's like, I got kids on this bus, so Mike, I'm not a horn honker or a road rage, but my wife is, and I'll reach over for the passenger seat and lay into the horn. She'll reach over while I'm driving. Yeah. You get the people who do that too. It's like, if you're not going to honk the horn, I'm going to reach over and honk it for you.
That's a violation. This is my car. I'm driving. You don't touch you know what the rest is.
Whoa. It's a family show here. Yeah. My buddy, he's a horn honker. And then I have to tell him,
no. Sit in your car and honk your horn.
Relax. Well, I'm in the passenger seat. He's honking the horn.
But if you're driving, he ain't reaching over.
No, but I'm in the passenger seat. He's honking his horn, but I'm embarrassed that he's honking the horn, even though I'm not the one driving. I'm sitting there and I'm like, yo, you want to get all of our asses kicked over here? I'm not getting in a fight. I'm almost 50. No horn honking, no middle fingers while you're driving. I'm going to clean this world up on this show. And I don't know what these reaching over things you're talking about are. That's getting a little out of control. Football at 4. It's coming up next. Adam Caplan is in the house. Don't go away. More Sports Bash next. Football at 4 powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. You can get it on all podcasting platforms. Adam Caplan's here. It's brought to you, as always, by the Fanatic Sportsbook at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. You know, we're going to be back there on Monday. You know what that means? Football's back. We're at Ocean on Monday at the Fanatic Sportsbook. That means football is officially back. So come out and see us this season at the Fanatic Sportsbook. Adam Caplan is here. Vic Fangio spoke earlier today. We talked a little bit about what he had to say. So let's look at the defensive roster development that he has in front of him. He did say something about, he's like, we don't have a lot of young, new players on this team, Adam. So let's take a look at the defensive development so far where this team is.
All right, so they've had 6 practices, Mike. So it's good because not all, but mostly our segments have been on offense, about the development of the passing game, timing, pass target group, help the offensive linemen. You name it, we've exhausted our discussion on offense. Well, let's finally take a deep dive on defense. So let's get started up front. Mike, they run a 34 front, 2 overhangs. It's you know who the starters are. Jomo can't rule out a new contract. We noted this months ago. He changed representation, went to athletes first, so looking to get a new deal. Will not be easy because they're already paying Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, who we'll get to in a minute, top dollar. But Jumbo, what a 7th-round pick, Mike. Think about how good of a football player he is. And he's a 7th-round pick. So Jordan Davis continues.
Who, by the way, Adam, who said last week that they have to pay it? Was that Fangio that said that he's going to have to get his money too?
Save money, yeah. Howie's got to save money for Jomo. Now, here's the thing, okay? Davis and Carter are going to be here a long time, right? If Ojomo does not get his extension and he walks because he's on the final year of his rookie deal, they don't have another starter. Ty Robinson's done nothing so far. Byron Young has been a quality waiver claim. He is their first D-tack off the bench. He's not being challenged. That job's already won. He was claimed off waivers, Mike, in August of last year. And as the season went along, he became their top backup. Just a great story of development. Really good job of Howie Roseman, the general manager, and his pro personnel staff identifying this player. And he could play the nose. He could play the 5 technique or the 7. Just a good football player. The Raiders screwed up in cutting him after 1 year. That was dumb. Now
the Raiders made a mistake. Go figure.
I know. Now they've got Gabe Hall, number 96. Who I'll tell you what, Mike. We talked about this last summer, and I'm going to remind people he had a really good camp. He's got one problem. He's a tweener. He's long. He's got great length. Decent athlete. Wasn't drafted for a reason. There was a knock on his energy for the game. Didn't always show up. But, man, the light went on for him. But here's the problem. He's not a nose tackle. He's really not an edge rusher. He's not a pass rusher. He's got ability. But they're not going to keep 6 defensive tackles, Mike. That's just unheard of. Howie's done it before. He fooled us 1 year, and then they traded Contavious Street very quickly after that. So they went to 5. In fact, they actually had 7 at one point, which is ridiculous, but you don't really keep 6. So Gabe Hall is going to be tough to keep. Ty Robinson still, Mike, not standing out. He needs to earn his roster spot. Howie Roseman has cut 4th-round picks after 1 year before. He hasn't done it much. He's done it a couple times, but he's got to get it going. And there's UR Bernard, who Vic talked about today. He's light years away. He's, as we've said on our show, Andrew and I dropped a show this morning, which is an overview of both sides of the football, but he's at the how part. He's learning how to play football. Eventually, you want him to get to the why when he'll ask about why do we do this. He's not there yet. And they got Zion Wilson, who's a very intriguing.
I was going to say, I like him. My girlfriend went to East Carolina, so I saw him play a lot.
Right. Yeah.
Big
Zion
dude.
He's a pretty good athlete. Had draftable grades from clubs, so he's a guy to watch as we go through. And also the preseason is going to determine, Mike, as I was telling Andrew on our show this morning, there are so many backup jobs. As one person said to me, 45 to 53, good luck trying to figure it out. There are a lot of backup jobs open this year.
Yeah, Zion Wilson's 6'3", like 320 pounds. He's a mammoth man. Yeah. And as you said, Ojomo was a 7th-round pick. What's to say that an undrafted kid doesn't stick out. He would be an interesting guy to kind of keep an eye on there. Let's go to the edge crew here because he did talk about Ebiketie. I thought, I feel like he's not getting, like, people are almost looking at him as like the way that they signed Uche and what's his name last year from the Giants, Ojulari.
Yes, and then Obo Konkro, yes, who are all edge rushers. But so Andrew made a really good point because he'd been noticing Ebiketie. And ironically, what did Vic talk about today? Ebiketie didn't really stand out because he had to learn the scheme in OTAs. Remember, they only had 6 practices. Well, he comes in here, he steadily gotten better, and he really likes what he sees. He's going to make $4.3 million. They guaranteed all of it. He'll be the 4th edge rusher, Mike. And as I talked about last time with you, AJ Epinesa has been my sleeper. Like, I'm a little surprised at how much he stood out. Now, Andrew and I see him the same way. He may be listed as 280. He looks about 240. He was over 6'5". He's really long. He's a guy to kind of watch. Look, ideally, you really don't need to keep 6 edge rushers or even 5. They have Keyshawn James Newby. He's hurt as a major long shot to be there to make the team. But Grenard, look, Harry Rosen made it pretty clear. Grenard will be ready by week 1. Now, how ready he's going to be, nobody knows. They can't even answer that. So we'll have to see what happens when he comes back. But there's absolutely a chance to keep 5 edge rushers. But Mike, as we tell people, when you go heavy at one position, you got to go light elsewhere. And when we get to the secondary, that'll explain a lot more of this. And then I think when you really look at it, as we told you when he was drafted, John Campbell was not drafted to be an edge rusher. That was false. He was drafted to be, first of all and foremost, an inside linebacker. And maybe down the line, when they felt comfortable, he could get edge snaps in nickel. Well, what happened was, on base downs, he played the edge, but as a run defender, not as an pure edge rusher. So all that talk about edge rusher just never happened, and they don't have any plans for him to do it.
All right, let's go to that linebacker spot because we could be having this conversation 5 years ago and saying, man, they are really light here. How about now?
Yep. And look, where it's kind of like with edge rush, okay? We know that Grenard, once he's healthy, is going to be a starter. I still feel like I have all offseason. Hunt should beat out Smith. Ebiketie's the 4, so you only play 4. Well, now this is where Andrew and I had an interesting discussion. He did point out correctly that they didn't do it a lot, but later in the season when Nakobe Dean came back, instead of cutting Smile Mondon, they kept him, and when he was active, he only played on special teams. The only time he would play on defense was when there was a blowout. So they pulled everybody out, and then he'd play, but he would only really play on special teams. That was his role strictly. So this year, it's Bond and Campbell. Jihad's back. He does not look as big physically. We don't know because of the shoulder what he was able to do in terms of working out and lifting. Trotter's the clear 3. In fact, Vic Fangio was effusive in his praise today, but he's having his best camp. And remember, Vic's been in with him the whole way. Vic and Trotter came in 24. Monon's the 4. Now, Chance Campbell, Vic said not to sleep on today. I put him on my list. It was my sleeper list. The difference between last year and keeping 5 and this year are completely different. Chance Campbell was not drafted by the Eagles. He was drafted by the Titans, but he's a big injury history. The Eagles put no money into him. It's highly unlikely he'll make it. Again, if you're keeping 5, and you're never dressing 5 to play, because Mon and Mike. See, here's the problem with Campbell make it. Monin is already ahead of him on special teams. So why would you keep 5? It makes no sense. And Deontay Lawson's also there, who's a very intriguing player. Absolutely would have been drafted in 3rd or 4th round if not for the ACL injury. So he's obviously not going to make it. But they have really good depth, and here's the thing: it's pretty young.
Well, right, and I mean, it almost feels like if one of the guys, because like last year you had Dean get hurt, Campbell stepped in. Would Trotter be able to step in and start?
They do. They feel really good about that. We had noted from someone we talked to that Trotter was tremendous in practice last season, really good, and he didn't get a lot of defensive snaps because Campbell stepped in, as you said, for Dean. And when Dean came back, Campbell didn't start anymore because Dean was unbelievable. One of the incredible stories. But, yeah, they're stocked, man. They really are in good shape there at inside backer.
All right, Football 4, we're talking with Adam Caplan. We're taking a look at the roster development in training camp. They got a lot of questions at safety.
Major. Vic did talk about how Makuba's looking good. He's healthy. He's got a better understanding of what he's doing. Marcus Epps clearly over Michael Carter, but it's close. In fact, Vic talked about, this is interesting, and I did notice this in my notes here, that Carter's been playing a lot of nickel when DeJean, to give DeJean a rest, so DeJean just have to have every nickel. He's the second-team nickel over Mac McWilliams and anyone else they have. And they also is playing dime safety. So he's definitely going to be on the team, but dime, by the way, 6 defensive backs, Mike. So he's giving himself more value. He's got way better versatility than Marcus Epps. So he took a major pay cut, which we told you he was going to do if he was going to come back. He took about 80% pay cut. He didn't have a choice. He wanted to come back. He's going to have a role, Mike. He's going to not just special teams and backup safety, backup nickel, maybe dime the little they play it. And, yeah, he'll be there. And they're trying to figure out who the fourth safety is. They still have not worked Mac McWilliams at safety. He's nickel, a little bit of corner. Carl Wisniewski's hurt right now, unfortunately, as he was in the OTAs. And J.T. Gray really will only be on special teams. Maxis Pulley is our sleeper. Because there's so many backup jobs, Mike, he was a playmaker at Wofford. He is number 36, an undrafted free agent. We look forward to seeing him in the preseason because that's where he can make a really good push.
Maximus Pulley. I like that name.
Love
All
that
right,
name. Yeah,
let's
cool
go to the development of the cornerback room because there's a lot of names here with a lot of intrigue. So I'm very intrigued by what you think you've seen of the development of this position. Because for years you had a bunch of guys who were, the Kaylee Ringos, the Josh Jobs, that you were waiting for one of them to emerge, and none of them ever did.
Yeah, Keely Ringo, but it's Keely in the pronunciation guide. I don't know why people call him Kaylee. It's not. Keely Ringo, look, we've talked about him for 4 years. We told you 4 years ago he'll never make it. We got bleeped on for it. We weren't wrong. You can't get rid of lower body stiffness. But, man, he looks the part, though. Just standing there, he can't transition. He just can't do it. I mean, it is what it is. And by the way, he is running. He's got some second-team reps because Jonathan Jones is a veteran. They're not practicing much. He turns 30, one of the oldest corners of the NFL. Mitchell and Woolen are your starters. Woolen looks really good. He's carrying over so far what we saw. Now remember, Devontae Smith is hurt now. Makai Lemon is hurt, which is unfortunate. And Cooper DeJean's not playing corner anymore. He's a nickel, or he's playing safety. Vic, by the way, Mike, and Vic kind of backed up what we told folks. The league is going to so much base defense. Why? Because so many teams are playing 12 personnel. Well, first 4 weeks, I guarantee you that Cooper DeJean will play way more safety than nickel. Why? Because those 4 teams play so much 12 personnel, two tight ends, 2 receivers, 1 back, that Coop's just not, look, they're telling what it's going to look like by their personnel groupings. And I'll see Washington next week. I'm scheduled to be there when the Dolphins come in for joint practice for their preseason game. So I look forward to seeing what Washington's doing, Mike. But just understand, things are going to be a little bit different here. Well, actually, a lot different with DeJean. And when you talk about their cornerback group, behind the starters, it's Jones is the 3. They don't know who the 4 is right now. Between McWilliams, Jacorian Bennett has got plenty of reps with the 2s. Still not standing out yet. Mention Ringo, who's really a third-team corner who almost certainly will not play on defense unless there's an injury or a couple guys get benched. You can't predict that. It's impossible. Ambry Thomas made a play the other day. Yet another former third-round draft pick of the Niners that the Eagles have brought in. He was on and off the Eagles roster.
A Michigan man.
Yeah, he's talented. He actually was a starter for them. Talking to them, they lost faith in him because he couldn't stay healthy. And rounding it out is Tariq Castro Fields, who is been a number. He's now on his 5th team for Penn Stater. Yet another 49er, 6th rounder in 22. Really good size. But here's the thing, Mike. I could say he's a major long shot, but the Eagles have no idea who the 4th corner is going to be. So I'm not ruling out anything here as we get through all the practices in the preseason.
Very intriguing position, and especially, and by the way, we're all just assuming Woolen comes in here and is the lockdown guy. I mean, he was in and out of the lineup for Seattle last year.
Now, look, as I told you this, Mike, weeks ago, the only way DeJean plays corner is A, injury, or B, that Woolen gets benched where he reverts back. And, Vic, you don't have to guess. If Rick Woolen, Vic is not going to stand for it. If guys are not playing with discipline, the guy's getting benched. That's just the way it is. He's like Mike Zimmer. I got to know over a number of years. If they don't like what they see, they move on. They don't care what he's getting paid. Now, Vic stood up for him. Remember, he did in his press conference. He watched the tape. He thought that Woolen was way better than people thought. Well, I don't doubt Vic. He's going to go to the Hall of Fame someday. For my money, I don't have a lot of money, but I put in the Hall of Fame. So, but anyway, Mike, it's a very intriguing defense. I am really looking forward to if they could stay healthy. They're going to have a lot of challenges early in the season. They play some really good offenses.
Well, obviously, defense going to have to carry them for a little while here because the offense, as we discussed the other day, it's going to be growing pains. Growing pains.
Big
Football
one.
at 4.
Big pain.
Yes.
Big pain.
There's Adam Caplan, Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast, which you can get and download on all podcasting platforms. And Adam's back on Friday's show. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Adam Caplan, everybody. Jeff's off this week. Andrew's here tomorrow. Division previews continue. NFC West, which features the Super Bowl champions, the Super Bowl favorite, and the 49ers and the Cardinals. Niners, have very good odds. NFC West might be the best division in football. What's the best division in football? Right now, if I was to say, give me the team that has the best 4 teams. Do you like the NFC West, NFC North, AFC West, AFC South, maybe? Doubtful. Which one?
I would say NFC North would be my number one, but the
Bears, Lions, Packers, Vikings.
But I feel like all 4 of them, there's an argument to be made that they could either win the division
The 4
or make the
teams are
playoffs.
better than the 4 from the West, but are the 3 teams in the West better than all 4 of those teams?
Not all 4. Maybe 2 of
The
them.
Rams are better than all 4.
Rams are better than all 4, and I would say Seattle is better. The 49ers are just so banged up right now. I mean, that whole the latest fiasco with Brendan Ayuk. I mean, Mike Evans is already injured his hamstring again at training camp. George Kittle, they don't know exactly when he's coming back from his Achilles injury. So the 49ers are just so banged up. I don't know what to do with them.
Well, the Rams and Seahawks, I think, are better than the Bears, Lions, Packers, and Vikings. I would say the Bears, Lions, Packers, and Vikings are all better than the Cardinals, and I would say the Niners are right there on par with those 4 teams. I would go probably NFC West, North, Broncos, Chiefs, Chargers. It's a pretty good 3.
The big 3, but their 4th is a big drop-off.
Texans, Jags, then a drop-off.
Colts are going to be good, but not good enough.
Ravens, Bengals, Steelers.
That's a big 3 that rivals the AFC West.
Bills, Patriots.
Stop. Just move on.
Just those 2.
The NFC East, an argument can be made because one of the reasons why the Washington fell apart last year was Jaden Daniels' injury. If he's healthy, how does that change everything?
If he's healthy, yes, that definitely helps out their possibility. But that being said, I think they're just mediocre. I don't think they're where they were 2 years ago.
Maybe not, but they're going to be interesting at least. I think the NFC East may not be the best division, but might be the most interesting.
609-403-0973. 609-403-0973. Kaylee Ringo is the backup to Woolen. Bennett backs up Q. Jones is backup slot. Decent depth in the secondary. It's safety 2 with Epps. I don't know that Ringo is the backup there. I don't know that he wins that job.
No, Ringo's the primary special teams guy right now. That's his big role on this team. And they seem, I mean, at least if you go by what the reporting is out of camp and what the team is saying, Ringo's focus is on special teams. Whatever
Jonathan Jones, Jacorian Bennett, Mac McWilliams, those 3 guys there, I think they battle out for the backup spots. And then
they want Mac McWilliams to find a role.
He's a draft pick too, right? So they want to try to get him in there. Now, Ringo, has been around here for years, and I think they realize that he just is not the caliber of player that they wanted him to be. He was a 4th-round pick, but that was back in 2023. He's been in the league now. Mac McWilliams was a draft pick last year, so I think maybe they're now hoping that he, as a 5th-round pick, can be the guy that takes over that spot. And Jonathan Jones is a veteran. Ja'Cory Bennett's a guy they traded for last year. And I don't think they got their bang for their buck.
And a couple press conferences ago, Bennett is a guy that Fangio said he was interested to see what he gets with a full training camp. Because remember, when Bennett was acquired last year, then he got injured. So he missed half a training camp.
It's one of the reasons why he is here.
Right.
He couldn't stay healthy, and Q Myers told us. Not only could he not stay healthy in Vegas, he was not a big corner, which is what Pete Carroll liked from his corners. But if you remember the day we had Q Myers on, he said he was the Raiders' best corner in 2024.
Correct.
When he was healthy.
So he is a guy that I think a lot of the people in the Eagles organization really want to give a full opportunity to with these 3 preseason games and a full month of training camp.
All right, Sports Bash is live on 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. And, of course, you can watch the show live on the 97.3 ESPN YouTube channel. Hopefully everybody is figuring out how to watch the show. You can watch on your phone, your tablet, your laptop. Wherever you watch YouTube, you can watch the Sports Bash. You can watch us on the X platform. Easy to do. You can see the show, see the guest. And, of course, be a part of the show on the text board as well, on the White Horse RV text board, 609-403-0973. Hey, Branches Outreach, one of the things we all love about South Jersey is how strong our community is. People show up for one another, and that's exactly what happens every day at Branches Outreach in Cape May County. They have a team, volunteers, donors, and community partners that work together to provide meals, stock pantry shelves, distribute clothing and personal care items, and they connect individuals and families with advocacy, case management, and they support the people they need to do as they move forward here. For some, they might need just a warm meal, which I say just a warm meal. Can you imagine not having that every single day? For others, they need their groceries for their family. They need help navigating tough situations. You need someone to talk to. Branches is there. So whether you live in Cape May County all year round or you're just here visiting for the summer, you can be a part of the team. Visit thebranchesoutreach.org and make a donation today. Together, we can strengthen the community we all love. Sports Bash is live, 97.3 ESPN. All right, coming up, we got Nuggets today, and I can't wait. I'm like all day, I've been geeking out, waiting to talk to Dave Gallagher to see what he thinks about the lineup, the trades, how this team looks moving forward. That's coming up tonight, and then we'll get news and notes from the ballpark from Mike McGarry at 5:30 tonight. Dave Gallagher. Don Mattingly should be talking to the media right about now. So if anything big comes out of that, we'll let you know. The Sports Bash is coming up on 97.3 ESPN. 4:30 Sports Bass Live, 97.3 ESPN. Time for the Nuggets now on a Wednesday show. Midweek, can the Phillies pull off the sweep? Well, we'll see tonight. The lineup is out. And it's, as always, brought to you by Chachi's 13th floor at Rafici's, now open. Text your name and where you're from to 609-403-0973. And if the Phillies score exactly 13 runs tonight, you can win a $100 gift card. If not, don't worry. Your name's in the drawing for a $25 gift card on Friday's show. And that's brought to you by Chachi's 13th floor. And don't forget, fantasy football season's here for $20 a person in your fantasy league. Your draft package includes food and beer at Chachi's 13th floor, the White Horse Pike in Absecon. All right. Phillies lineup, same lineup as last night. Nothing crazy, nothing changed. Luis Arraez in the 4-hole. Gold glove level third base last night from Bryson Stott. Looked like a natural over there. Let's bring in Nick Earnshaw today for today's edition of Nick's Nuggets. What's up, Nugs?
What's going on, Mr. Mike Gill? I said, I'm someone who's willing to compromise. You give me leadoff Schwarber. I know he didn't have a great night last night, but having a rise in the 4-hole, man, was that awesome. 2 for 4 last night, a couple of ribbies, came up in big moments. The guy, I'll tell you what, I didn't know he was that fiery. I didn't realize how fiery of a guy he was. He was getting amped up, getting the crowd into it after a couple of big hits. I think this is a great move by the Phillies, putting him in the 4 spot. I'll compromise. You have Stott over. You could have your Stott over at third base if I get Schwarber in the leadoff spot and a rise in the 4-hole. I'm cool with that. You get the same lineup again tonight. Could go for the sweep, like you just mentioned, against the Washington Nationals. You got Andrew Pater on the mound. But Mike, a rise, brings a whole different dynamic into this lineup. Who said batting average wasn't cool? Come on.
I'm a really big fan of batting average, by the way. I think the fact that batting average has been diminished is an oversight by many people. Hey, listen, your batting average tells you something, how often you get on base. Now, if you're somebody that has a lower batting average, but you walk a lot like a Schwarber, that's a different situation. But if you have a low batting average and a low on-base percentage, you're not a really good hitter. But Arraez is a guy that has a high batting average. He gets on base a lot, and having guys on base ahead of him, he hits 400 with runners in scoring position. If he hit 220 with runners in scoring position, you would say he can't hit with runners in scoring position. But because he hits 400, it's funny. We pick and choose when batting average matters.
Yep.
And in this situation, he hits 400 with runners in scoring position. That matters. But other people are like, oh, batting average doesn't matter. I'm a proponent of batting average. I know there are other stats that tell you other stories. But my point is, can you hit? Can you hit the ball? Which is a big factor in success in this sport. Can you hit? And Luis Arraez can hit. But the factor for him to be successful here in hitting is, can the guys in front of him get on base? Because if they can't, then all of his ability to hit is no good, because he's not a guy that's going to walk a whole heck of a lot.
No. But, it's funny. In any other era, it feels like he would be regarded as one of the best players in baseball with the way he hits. He just would. And today, he's played for 5 teams since 2019. 5. The Twins, the Marlins, the Padres, the San Francisco Giants, and the Philadelphia Phillies. It's amazing to me. The guy has won multiple batting titles. He just hits. He does not strike out at all. I know he doesn't walk a lot, but he makes contact, and he's aggressive. So it's amazing to me he hasn't gotten, a decent deal. He could only get a 1-year deal in the offseason where the Phillies could have signed him. But I've always been a big fan of Arraez. If you go back to my old baseball podcast, we talked about him a lot. And I've always been a proponent of batting average. Like, we very much undervalue it in today's game because we're so worried about home runs and launch angle, all of that stuff. So we just undervalue it completely. I think putting him in the 4-hole in this lineup, because it's such a unique lineup with so many guys who are boom or bust, I think having him in the 4 spot's great. When you have on-base guy like Schwarber, I know last night he struggled. I get that. But then Turner and Harper after him, you saw work in the first inning last night.
Schwarber 8 for 45 since the All-Star break.
I think there's something still wrong with him. I really do. I know he was a little sick a couple of days, was out for a little bit. I still think something's bothering him a little bit. Doesn't it seem like that to you?
It could be. I mean, maybe he's just slow to get back here and
yeah,
it's coming around a little slower. But once they get him going, because the reason why this could work with Arraez is Schwarber is like a 370, a little bit below 370 on base. Then you got Harper, who's about a 360 on base. Trey Turner, since July 1st, is like a 360 on base. If those three guys are getting on base at the clips that they have been in their careers, now you got Arraez coming up constantly with runners in scoring position. And one thing Arraez does that the other guys struggle with, you don't have to get a hit every single time you come up with runners in scoring position, but you can make a productive out. If you have a guy on second with one out and you can get him over to third, that changes the dynamics. That's one thing that a lot of times I think the Phillies really struggle with is making productive outs.
Yeah, and coming up with a timely hit, right? He's a guy who could come up with the timely hit when you need it. I think you make a great point about the productive out. You got a guy on third base, you got one out, ground ball over to second base, makes it tough play for the second baseman to go home, so you get a run in. Like, he can make those type of hits for you, those type of outs for you. So, I'm all in on the Arraez in the 4-hole. I think Schwarber, I think he kind of gets back after he was sick. I know he had the issue for a couple of games. I think once he starts getting back into the swing of things, I think him leading off, he could a ball go boom every once in a while when he leads off. Having those guys in front of him, having a little protection for Bryce Harper, forcing the pitcher to pitch to Bryce Harper, I think is a fantastic thing. Yeah, obviously a little concerned about Alec Boehm following after that, and JT Realmuto. Can Brandon Marsh get back to it? I mean, Justin Crawford's been getting on base. It feels like you saw last night, he steals second, then comes around to score later on. So, yeah, this is a lineup it's a different dynamic because you finally have someone who could just make contact with the baseball instead of striking out or hitting a home run, which is how this team's won games. Like, we get all excited. They won with Derek Hill hitting a home run the other night, but they won with 2 hits. 2 hits the other night after that Derek Hill thing, right? Like, they need guys who can get base hits and drive in runs. That's Luis Arraez.
Well, again, Arraez, it all is incumbent on guys getting on base ahead of him. And so far, guys getting on base ahead of him last night for one night only. And one of the guys that got on base was Trey Turner, was on base 3 times last night. He ended up scoring twice. If they can get Trey Turner the way he's been since July 1st, over 300 batting average, over 350 on base percentage. If you get that Trey Turner the rest of the way, I think people will not pay attention to his defense nearly as much.
Like, this would be the perfect start to a game, right? Schwarber, home run, right? Leadoff home run from Schwarber. Everyone's going nuts. Turner gets on base, finds a way on. Bryce Harper gets on base, finds a way on. Luis Arraez drives him in. Like, that's lethal. That's absolutely a lethal way to start a baseball game. Or even if Schwarber walks to start the game, right? Because you're so scared to death you're going to hit a home run. You now have him on. You have the bases loaded with Luis Arraez coming up. He's going to do something. You know what I mean? Like, that, just the opportunities they have. If those guys could really produce and get on base before Arraez, man, oh man. I mean, that's a heck of a start to the game. And then later on in the ball game, you're going to have Schwarber coming up a couple of times in the 7th, 8th, 9th inning. He's going to come up in a big moment where he could just go yard anytime and he gets more at bats.
Well, in games started by Wheeler, Sanchez, Luzardo, we know the numbers. The Phillies are 46-18 with 14 shutouts. I mean, is it fair to ask the question, if you're 46-18 with those 3 guys, should we be focused on that number more than we are the negative things? And now you have a guy that can drive into runs, which means maybe you can win 3-2, 4-3, 3-1, because you have a guy at the top of the lineup that ball to bat, does get runs in, does drive in guys, doesn't leave them on base nearly as much. So could this one guy be the difference maker? Because when the Phillies have Wheeler, Sanchez, Luzardo, 46-18. And by the way, since April 25th, they're 42-11 with those 3 guys pitching.
Yeah, this is why I'm like also a little upset they didn't get another starter, because if they add another starter into the mix, how many more wins would they possibly be able to get, right? I know the whole bullpen thing, bringing one of them out in the postseason would be nice. But also, if they had another starter in the mix here, how many more games could they add to their win total to possibly get back in the mix again with Atlanta, which I don't think, I predicted they were going to get back into it and probably pass Atlanta. Right now sitting at 7.5 games, time's is running and ticking away with that. But no, I like Arraez in the 4-hole. I really do. I think it's a smart move. I think it could work throughout the rest of the season. You get Schwarber and Turner more at bats later on in the ball game. I'm all for Schwarber getting more at bats later on, which is fantastic. I know one person in particular who's blowing up my phone for the second Nuggets in a row. Does not want Schwarber in the leadoff hole. He wants him batting fourth. So there's that. I don't want him striking out either when the runners are on base. I want a guy with contact who's going to drive in those runs. So, Schwein, stop blowing up my phone. All right. Schwarber needs to stay in the top hole in the leadoff spot and put Arraez for, because he's driving those runs, baby, like he was last night. That was awesome. I was throwing popcorn up in the air last night, Mike.
Popcorn up in the air?
Yeah. I dropped it, actually. I got a little excited, knocked the popcorn over. That's really what happened.
All right. Well, fair enough.
Before you go on, are you a fan of the stale popcorn from the movie theater? I am.
I haven't been in the movie since 1998. I don't know what stale popcorn at the movie theater tastes like.
I forgot. I totally forgot. I saw Spider-Man the other night, and I had the leftover thing of popcorn, and I don't know why I very much enjoyed the taste of stale popcorn after a day from the movie theater. Very good.
Can't give you a report on that. I don't think that I've had stale movie theater popcorn. I'm not a huge popcorn guy.
I like popcorn. I like it. I don't do it all the time, but every once in a while, I'll do
a big popcorn. She does the homemade at home with the kernels popping. Yeah. She does the whole thing at the house. But I'm not a big popcorn guy.
Am I a psycho for that? Like at 609-403-0973, are you a fan of the stale popcorn a day after the movie theater?
Is it stale though after just one day? Is it go bad?
It's not the same like when it first comes out. You know what I mean?
No, I don't.
I forgot. Do you even have it at home?
We have popcorn in the house. Like I said, my girlfriend makes it. She has the air popper.
Do you eat it?
Rarely.
All right, where's Josh? Someone get Josh on the mic or something, because I know Josh.
Johnson's popcorn in the tub.
Yeah. Whoa. In the tub. Whoa. Like in the bathtub?
No,
or you mean like in the tub? Oh, I thought you were eating popcorn in the bathtub. I was like, that's a little much. I don't need to know that. No, but I think the second day, because I can't eat the whole thing. Like they give you the extra large because you got the deal or whatever at the movie theater. But the second day, or maybe even the third day, I am a fan of the stale popcorn. I think it's good.
So, Nick, I'm with you on the movie theater popcorn. I'm very big on the movie theater popcorn.
Okay.
I got to tell you, though, my popcorn doesn't get to the point of stale because I have a process. So I get the large refillable popcorn every time I go to the theater.
Right.
I eat it while I watch the movie. I always get a refill when I leave. And typically 9 times out of 10, that bag is finished before I go to bed at night.
Okay. So you don't really get a chance to have the stale side.
Right.
I think it's good.
I finish that thing.
Yeah, no, I can't finish it. So like I could go a day or two after. I'm still eating the popcorn from the movie from 2 days prior or a day prior. And it's like a little stale, but it's not fully stale, if you know what I mean. Like it's still edible.
See, for me, I look at it like this. It's like good pizza. If I get a pie of pizza, that pizza might only last a day. You know what I mean? I'm not letting that thing sit in the fridge for a couple of days. Could it sit in the fridge? Sure. Do I love cold pizza? Yes. But am I going to not eat it because I want it to be cold for me in 3 days? No, I'm not going to wait that long. I'm too impatient.
Yeah, I forgot, Mike, that hasn't been in the movie theater since before I was born. So I totally forgot. Like, he can't answer this question. He's not a popcorn guy. You're not a popcorn guy.
Nope, not a popcorn. I mean, I like popcorn. I don't have movie popcorn.
Yeah, it's like, it's different. There's a difference. That's for sure.
There's a big difference because the popping machine's a little different. The way they put the butter on it's a little different because your movie theater popcorn, they usually like basically pop it with the butter.
Yeah. All right, see, we're getting a couple of messages on this. I'm aware, like, that there is microwave popcorn. I have that. Like, I'll get the Orville or whatever.
Listen, microwave popcorn is really not that good when you break it down. Okay, microwave popcorn is, in case of an emergency, I desperately need popcorn. What is that thing? Pop Secret. You throw in the microwave, bing bang boom, it's done. But otherwise, the best popcorn is either movie theater popcorn or, as Mike, you mentioned, your girlfriend, she'll do like the air popper and she'll kind of put her own seasoning on it.
So I see.
I'll have a little handful here and there. I'll have a little handful like from time to time.
Yeah, the day after stale popcorn from the movie theater. I don't know why. I think it's very enjoyable. Very much enjoyable.
Yeah, Cole from LBI says the stale popcorn is diabolical.
Well, I didn't say it was going to be a normal thing. It's why I said I might be a little bit of a psychopath. I mean, we already know my food eating habits are not the most normal in the world here. All right.
Jeff in Ocean City, no stale popcorn. Give me some Johnson's popcorn every day. That's what
dude. Someone out there's got to be on the same wave as me. I know I'm in a minority here, but someone's got to be on the stale popcorn wave. Somebody. This text did.
Nick, what's going to happen is you will meet that person one day.
You might marry her.
That's what I was going to say. She's going to become your wife.
That's when I know that's going to be the one. That's when I know.
Go on a movie date. You're going to meet this girl. She's going to like steal popcorn. And you're going to be like, can you marry me? And she'll be like, when?
You know what? Maybe because I'm back on Hinge, by the way. I decided to get back on Hinge. So I should put that as one of the prompts, like saying, if you like stale popcorn, like this, like my profile, you know?
Definitely. Now, Smart Food cheddar popcorn is the best this guy
says.
My
That's
mom
solid.
loves Smart Food cheddar popcorn. It's a big deal with my mom. That's like, if you want to make my mom happy, you bring her some Smart Food cheddar popcorn.
Yeah, that's solid. That's solid right there.
It's not like popcorn from the movie theater later that day after the movie. The butter is all dried to it. The next day, it's a bit too stale.
Okay. Yeah, I like it. I don't know why. Like, I think it's good. It's a little, the popcorn's like a little chewy. I don't know why, but it's enjoyable.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I would call
Try
it enjoyable. But
everyone try. Because a lot of movies out right now. So you go to the movie theater, all right? You get the popcorn you have left over. Let it sit overnight. When you come home from work, have it while you're watching the Phillies. And then don't knock it over like I did.
Jeez.
A lot going on there.
Josh and K-Make, good luck on your hunt. Stale popcorn's for the birds. I mean, I can't say yes or no. I don't know. I don't know.
I know. I think it's good. I don't know why.
From earlier, Jay and Kate May says stale popcorn and plain hot dogs. What a weird dude. You ain't lying about that, buddy.
You're not wrong. I've never said I've not. I've had weird eating habits since I was younger. All right.
So the other day we were in Old Bridge, New Jersey last week. We went to this little breakfast spot. I mean, it was a little hole in the wall type of breakfast spot. And they had a whole menu on the wall of hot dogs. Hot Dog Thursday was special hot dogs. And they had all different types. 15 different types of hot dogs that they made. You know, chili cheese and Pete, cheddar dog, bacon bit, all this stuff. One of them was spicy mustard. Another one was yellow mustard. I didn't see one that was plain or one with ketchup. Not one.
Yeah, I would have made the guy who's making them or the gal who's making them, the chef back there, their life easy. And just give me a plain dog. That's all. That's all you need. Plain dog and stale popcorn is my type of date night. All right. That's it. There you go.
There's your profile.
Right there. I'm gonna update that today.
I like a stale bag of popcorn and a plain hot dog.
That sounds about all of this.
Sounds good.
Nick is he's very basic, very cheap when it comes to the dog and the popcorn, but he'll spend a gazillion dollars on Sixers, Flyers, or Eagles gear.
You're damn right. That's where it goes. That's why I have so much extra to spend, because I don't spend it on crazy foods out here.
I don't spend extra money on the condiments so I can buy myself a quarter zip.
Right.
You're damn right. From the All-Star Village, from Super Bowl.
Are you a horn honker?
A horn honk? Oh, like in the car?
Mm-hmm.
Not really. Not on occasion. I usually just kind of flip my hands up like I usually do when I'm yelling.
Are you a flipping the bird kind of guy?
No. My hand, just the hands go up. Like, what the heck? You know what I mean? Like when your hands go up. That's really it.
Good. That's good.
Yeah.
That's
I
normal.
yell in my car. That's about it. I get mad for about 5 seconds. I move on.
So you wouldn't consider yourself road rage?
No, I get upset, but like I'm just gonna let it go after like get a couple of yells out, like a couple of bleep bleep bleep, and then I'll be on my way.
Good.
Nice.
I had like 2 other nuggets I was gonna get to. I'll get the last one in. Do we have it, Josh? Can I get that in real quick?
We got time for your boy Sam Darnold.
Yeah, I want to play this. This is how big. I just want to preface with how big LeBron is coming here. Here's Sammy D on Hard Knocks talking about LeBron.
So LeBron, what do you think?
Great team. I'm not mad at it. I honestly think the secret here is LeBron knowing his moving to like the role that he's kind of moved into, like facilitating the whole thing.
I also hate that, dude. People are hating on him for going to a good team.
No, I don't care about that. I don't care about that. At this point,
everyone's like, "Oh, he's going to stack team." Like
that doesn't matter.
Like he can go wherever he wants. Any free agent can do that.
Yeah. And any free agent ever would be like, "Yeah, I want to go play for a championship." My last year or two, yeah, for sure.
There you go. So that's the Seattle Seahawks. Hard Knocks. Sam Darnold talking about being like LeBron could go wherever he wants. So who cares that he went to a great team and could compete?
Well, I mean, the Sixers were not considered a great team in any other incarnation. They've always been the disappointing team. That's why I don't feel like this is the typical you went to this thing. You're going to a team that doesn't have the history, at least in the last 50 years.
It's a long time.
40 some years, yeah.
A lot of stale popcorn in that time, you know?
I didn't even know Hard Knocks was back.
Yeah, it's back. They put out that little teaser on NFL coming out soon. So there you go. But they were talking about LeBron. I thought that was very interesting.
Did the first episode come out?
I don't think so. It came out yesterday? Did it come out yesterday?
I thought it came out yesterday.
It might have came out yesterday.
Clips that are teasing it, maybe.
I saw the one with Mike McDonald.
Saw that one.
He was talking to the safety. What's his name?
Not who was he talking to?
Emi
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. And he was talking about how like when someone tweets something at you, it's there for 15 seconds, and then he's like, okay, it goes away, whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, it came out last night. Yep, last night was the night.
Gotcha.
Mike McDaniel has the best attitude about social media of any person in professional sports.
Yeah. I was laughing because I was like, no, I don't honk the horn. I don't give the finger. 15-second tweet. I'm like, whatever.
Yeah. I get mad for like a couple seconds and then I move on. Get mad at something else.
And I don't eat stale popcorn.
And
you should try it. Try it one day. Stale popcorn.
I'll try it. I just got to get there.
Yeah. Get to the movie theater. Go see Spider-Man. All right.
BC and Bowers Beat says the only stale popcorn I eat is stale kettle corn. I will take the chance.
There you go. All right. That's in the realm. That's on my side.
I'll eat I'll eat the popcorn from like that like in the bag that you get at this grocery store.
Yeah, I will too. But this is like only when you go.
I just haven't got movie theater popcorn because I haven't been to the movies.
Go see a movie, would you?
No interest.
Jeez. All right. I'll talk. There's the nuggets.
We'll do them again tomorrow here on the Sports Bash Live 97.3 ESPN. I'm Mike Hill. All right. Thanks, Nick. We've got so much more to do, including Dave Gallagher, 9-year Major League Baseball veteran, joins me next on the show. What is his thoughts on what the Phillies did at the deadline? You'll hear it coming up on the other side. Plus, Mike McGarry with the latest news and notes live from the ballpark. That's on the way at 5:30. So stick around here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN. And don't forget, my friend Rocco and his team, they've built a loyal fan base of repeat customers by doing things the right way, like getting a base hit with runners in scoring position. Acura delivers the kind of performance and precision dependability that you can count on. Go see for yourself. Key Acura of Atlantic City, the small but friendly dealer, Tilton Road in EHT. 5 o'clock, driving it home. What's up, everybody? Sportsmanlike Live, 97.3 ESPN. Luis Arraez back to the 4-hole tonight, 2 RBI last night. Is that the right spot for him? Long term, big picture. We're going to talk to a guy who spent 9 years in the majors. Don Mattingly talking about the new lineup. We'll hear what he had to say at 5:30 tonight when Mike McGarry joins us live from Citizens Bank Park. But let's go and check in with former Major Leaguer Dave Gallagher. His thoughts on the new look Phillies and what this move means for their lineup as he joins us now on the Sports Bass Live 97.3 ESPN. Welcome back, Dave. What's going on, man?
Well, we're looking at a complete different team, aren't we?
One guy makes that big of a difference. Isn't it amazing how different it makes you feel sometimes?
Yeah, I think we got to witness that little bit of a jolt, an infusion of energy last night, as opposed to a week prior or 3 days prior, where nothing had been done, rumors maybe, but they looked flat. They looked like they're waving the white flag, and worse yet, they were losing games and losing games to the Braves. People behind them were catching up, like terrible look. And then all of a sudden, what did they win? 3 or 4 in a row now?
Yep, 3.
No.
4 in a row. Yeah.
Yeah, I think 4. And then Arraez, watching him, he reminds me, Mike, of Rod Carew. I've heard a bunch of different names. I've heard Tony Gwynn. But I used to have, this is how old I am, there was a video made of Rod Carew. It was put out by a company called Cybervision. And it was meant for you to be able to watch it. He was a left-handed hitter, but the way they did it, you could also watch it as if you were looking at him in the mirror. They made his left-handed swing right-handed. So regardless of whether you hit right or left, you could watch it. And it had almost like dentist's office music for the background. And all it would show a certain location, like an inner third fastball, him pulling it, regular speed, and then several slow motion. And then taking that same pitch, same location, but hitting it to left center as a left-handed hitter. And I would say what he did and what Arraez does is, I've heard bat to ball skills. That's just a new term the last several years, but I think it's more bat manipulation, so he can inside out that pitch or he can pull it. He knew how to do both. Arraez to me is that guy. Like, he's a great addition. And watching them hit him fourth, it makes a lot of sense to me because, again, we witnessed it first 2 at bat. How many times have we seen the Phillies come up in those situations or even better situations, running on third, nobody out, and just like strike out, don't put a ball in play, don't score, the inning fizzles. He comes up with 2 RBI knocks in his first 2 at bats as a Philly, and he's going to be a tough one. I mean, did they put him there to try to get better pitches for Schwarber? Because if you're going to just pitch around him and walk him, you're eventually going to get to Arraez.
Yeah, I was going to wonder, I wanted to get your thoughts on if Dave Gallagher was writing the lineup out day one, would you have hit him 4, 1, 2? Where would you have put him?
Boy, I thought about that. Again, knowing that I was going to come on to talk to you before that game started, I was thinking first or second. I'm going in my head, where would I put him and what's the advantage? And he steals some bases, but I would not look at him as a guy that steals second base when the other team knows you're going to run, like when you need it. I wouldn't put him in the Turner or Stott or Crawford category, but he can steal you some bases. He's not going to hurt you with his batting average and on base percentage up at the top, 1 or 2. I really didn't think of 4 until I think I heard you putting the lineup out on the radio. And I thought, I actually put it on Twitter before the game started. I said, I can't really disagree with it because I kind of figured if you got Harper, Turner, and Schwarber in front of him, you got to pick your poison. And Turner's finally he had a great July as far as offensively.
Yeah, about 360 on base. So if he's on base 360, Schwarber's on base 360, and Harper's on base 360, he's going to come up. And he, by the way, .400 with runners in scoring position. I guess we have this thought in our mind that the guy hits fourth, has a mustache, and hits 201 with 35 homers, right? Dave Kingman comes up, and they don't have those guys anymore.
They don't. Well, they're not helpful. I mean, I think if you ask a pitching guy or a starting pitcher right now in the big leagues, you have your choice. Do you want to face Kyle Schwarber, tie game, or up by a run, or do you want to face Arraez? I think they're going to pick Schwarber. Not because Schwarber's bad. Now, if there's two guys on and you're up by 3, you're going to go Arraez as a pitcher. I'll face Arraez. I don't want to face Schwarber in that situation. So it really is a pick your poison, and it might help to get Schwarber pitched to a little bit more. And he's just had a bad month. It's okay if he has a bad month right now.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit, because why would Arraez in the 4-hole give Schwarber more looks in the 1-hole?
Just simply because I don't think you want to put guys on base in front of Arraez, and they paid for it yesterday, first 2 at bats. So maybe he gets pitched to, especially when he's not swinging it that great, and maybe he can start getting right again. Now, I think if he gets hot and he becomes that guy that uses the other side of the field, even though he's a power guy, he can drive it out that way too. But if he gets hot again, then I could see them flipping it around and putting Arraez up at either 1 or 2. I don't think you can go wrong either one there. He's not afraid to go deeper in counts either. I've always felt like
he never strikes out.
He doesn't strike out, and he's not afraid to hit with 2 strikes. So I always like my number 2 hitter to be able to take pitches if your leadoff guy is a base stealer. Like, let him run, especially late in the game, close game. Give him a strike. I think I said to you on the air, I've been known to give guys 2 strikes if the game is on the line. We're down by a run or we're tied, and I hit behind Vince Coleman or somebody like that. I'll give you 2 strikes to pick a spot to run and try to get in scoring position, because I do believe I can get a knock with 2 strikes. And Arraez is much better at that than I ever was.
Well, and I guess the thing too with Arraez is he's not a guy that is a power hitter. He doesn't hit home runs. And when you think of an RBI guy, a lot of times you don't think of a guy who lacks power but Bohm's a guy who did drive in almost 100 runs 2 years in a row without hitting for power. So if you get the opportunities, you can still drive runs home.
Yeah. The downside of Bohm is he also hits into a lot of double plays. He really does. But it's always been his approach is why he hits well runners in scoring position. If you think in terms of what is going through the pitcher's head, not just the hitter's head, what is going through that pitcher's head? How do they make their living? We as hitters think of our batting average, our on-base percentage. They're thinking of their own earned run average. They don't want that runner to touch home plate. So they're not going to pitch you the way you want to be pitched. They're going to try to execute tough pitches. So Bohm's approach in those situations of thinking the other way, thinking gap, helps him cover all pitches. And that's why I think he had success. But the issue with first and second or bases loaded, he'll hit ground balls up, the middle of the field, and he doesn't run well.
I thought one of the things too, Dave, see if you agree or not, and is if you put Schwarber in the 4-hole, which a lot of people have been begging for years because he's the big guy that hits the home runs, and that's who you remember when you were a kid that batted fourth. But you would be protecting Harper. So I'm very intrigued at what that would do for Harper. But now you're kind of leaving Schwarber with Bohm as his protection, and that might limit Schwarber. So this kind of gets Schwarber. Arraez doesn't need the protection because he's not striking out. So he doesn't need the protection behind him as much as Schwarber might.
And they don't fear him as much, especially if he comes up with nobody on base. I don't think they want to walk him. They're not fearing him like they would fear Schwarber. But you're making a really good point, and that's what made me kind of really think about Arraez hitting fourth. That gives protection if Schwarber leads off, which I've never been a proponent of that. I've always liked him more in the middle of the lineup.
Well, you have the analytics world that wants Harper, your best hitter, to get the most at bats, and the leadoff guy gets the most.
Right.
And I'm not one of those guys either. I see a lot of teams moving their better hitter to the 2 hole now, but it used to be the number 3 guy was your most talented guy.
Yes. And I think in this kind of a batting order, if Schwarber leads off, say Turner hits second, Harper third, Arraez fourth, even if it's just temporary and they mix and match, that really gives those top 3 guys really good protection, right?
Yep.
Especially when Turner's swinging the bat, as he's been for the last month. Because
Dave, if Turner swings the bat, that's the linchpin to all this thing.
Absolutely. And then you can leave him. You can leave him there. I've always kind of felt Turner's profiles more as a free swinging number 5 or 6 hitter. But this past month, you kind of want him and his speed. He's even shown pop. I think he's got 7 home runs in the month of July, or had 7 months in the month of July.
Yeah, 6 or 7 since July 1st.
So they've done a lot of this now turnaround without Schwarber at all.
Schwarber is 8 for 45 since the All-Star break.
Yeah, that's rough. Mike, I have to ask you a question. Maybe you and Josh know the answer to this, because the last time I was on, I think it was last Thursday, I had mentioned that I hope that those 3 guys, and it was Wheeler, Schwarber, and Real Muto, I just have been questioning his throwing, and I'm wondering, is his arm bothering him? Because I don't see him as a guy that would mention it. There's some guys I've been in the locker room with, they're not even gonna go to the trainer. They'll ice their arm at home. They will not mention. They'll never use an excuse. I got to ask you, did Wheeler, what was his velocity? I know he got taken out because of rain. I did not get to watch it.
It's a good question. You're right, because I did not see the beginning of it. By the time I turned the game on, it was a rain delay.
Yeah, that's critical to me. Did he get back up to like 95, 96, or was he making pitches at 92? I think that's critical, especially now that the team did not grab not even a front line, but you get somebody in that 3rd or 4th range of a starting pitcher just for depth. Because let's say everything goes the way the Phillies want as far as their pitching. Let's say Painter throws a nice game and he's got 2 back-to-back games. Okay, all right, we're looking pretty good. We're going to be okay. And Nola does what he's kind of started to turn around and looks like a number 4 guy. It still leaves you with, if any of those top 3, if you lose any of them heading towards the playoffs or into the playoffs, your season's over.
So according to
you're not
this,
gonna compete with Dodgers.
According to this, he looked a lot more like himself on Sunday in the first couple of innings. That was from NBC Sports Philadelphia. That Wheeler did look more like himself than he did the day before the previous outing.
So if you're a Philly fan and you say, okay, we can exhale now, Wheeler's healthy. Think about anything that happens to those top 3 from now through the playoffs. Anything like if any of them have to sit down for any extended period of time, I just can't see them, if they can get to the playoffs, advancing. Not without those top.
Well, let me ask you this question. I'm very intrigued by your thoughts on this. Dave Gallagher, 9-year Major League Baseball veteran, joins us now for our midweek conversation on baseball Phillies. They are 46 and 18 when Wheeler, Luzardo, and Sanchez pitch, which means they win 71% of the time. Like, do they view themselves when those 3 pitch, we're the best team in baseball, and that's the most important, and everybody else is focusing on the 2 days they don't pitch?
Well, we've talked about this a little bit, that those 3 have 32 wins between them, those top 3. That does not include the no decisions. Yours included the no decisions. It made it an even better number.
Yeah, 46 and 18. And I think since April 25th, which is when Wheeler came back, they are 41 and 11 or something like that.
Yeah, well, that's outstanding. And I do think the Phillies are looking at it like that. And then the other end of that, the 4th and 5th, Nola, Painter, Rangel, and Walker, 5 wins between them.
Terrible.
So if you can win the majority of those top 3 starts, Wheeler, Sanchez, and Luzardo, and you lose your 4 and 5 starts, and then of course it balances out, right? 4th or 5th starter, Nola gets a win here or there, and say Wheeler or Luzardo get a loss, or Sanchez. and it balances out, you're still winning series, and you're winning more than you're losing, and it's going to get you into the playoffs. Once you get to the playoffs, if your top three guys, Wheeler, Sanchez, and Luzardo, are healthy, you can mix and match that if you need that fourth guy in a 7-game series. But that helps you contend. And then, it's not really a reach that your offense can get hot at the same time. That's baseball. So they wouldn't be the only team that has one or two guys struggling and two or three hot.
Right.
That goes back and forth. So at any given time, plus they'll be facing the best arms. That's another reason why Arraez is a great ad. He's going to hit all arms, not just,
Okay, that's another interesting. You walked us into another conversation, which is he's a lefty. He hits lefties fine. But there's tonight, they're starting 6 left-handers.
Right.
Does that leave you, even with Arraez hitting lefties, you're going to have 2 and 3 lefties, in an inning most of the time here. I mean, they have 4 or 5 lefties, I think, between the bottom of the order coming back to the top. Is that just too many left-handed bats, or do you have enough confidence that Arraez just doesn't matter? Because my point is, Dave, you're facing a lefty in the playoffs. You're getting the top of the top. You're getting a Dodger guy, a Cub guy. You're not getting the Reds guy in July who's just a marginal lefty. You're getting the top-level lefties. That makes it a lot more challenging to navigate.
Absolutely. And make no mistake, the Phillies they're being watched, right, by teams that are contending. And the Dodgers picking up Skubal, that's a crushing blow to the Phillies. It just is, because we all know what the Phillies do against left-handers. I don't know about Snell. I know he's not pitching right now. I don't know if he's coming back. I don't know his injury. But you got Skubal, Snell, and Robleski, all lefties. You got Vesia coming out of the bullpen, another lefty. And we don't even mention Sasaki and Ohtani. Like that. So if you can get to the playoffs, that's what you're going to be looking at. You're going to be looking at, we got to get past the Dodgers if we want to ring. You hope you can get to that point and see what you can do. But they got to.
And by the way, Dave, Chicago, you would meet in the playoffs right now in a 3-game wild card. They just got Gausman, who's right-handed, but they also got Imanaga. They've also got who else am I forgetting? They got 3 left. Oh, David Peterson, who they added with the from the Mets. And who's the other lefty that is slipping my mind right now? Oh, Matthew Boyd. So they've got 3 lefties they could throw at you in a 3-game playoff series.
And they will. And we've seen that. They will do that. So the one thing we don't know and probably won't ever know is what Dombrowski tried to do and who he offered. I have to believe they tried to move Bohm. If I'm not mistaken, I think Bohm's a free agent at the end of the year.
Yes.
You hate to see him. I know he struggled, but there is some value there, and you'd hate to see him. I don't see him bringing him back.
No.
Because if Miller is healthy, they'll bring Miller to the big leagues and play him at third. That might be a long-term move where they discuss Turner going out to the outfield. I still think that would be the right thing to do. And then we don't know if Arraez is going to be a rental.
Let's get into that real quick.
Yeah.
Harper said he would go to the outfield, and they ended up saying, hey, when Harper said he would do that, that's when they felt okay making the move. Is it unprecedented for them to go to a player at Turner's ilk and say, hey, Trey, would you be willing to move to the outfield? They said they had 0 consideration. Now, if you've been on a team, you're in that locker room, he's struggling. It's got to be odd that everybody's talking about your defense, and then yet they're like that, no consideration at all.
It's something that I think it would have become public if he was asked. I don't think they asked.
They're saying they gave 0 consideration. And I'm not saying they're lying, but I'm like, then how is that possible?
Right. Here's what I think may have happened. This is a very good possibility. That rather than going to him and saying, we're considering making a deal, but in this deal, we may have to give up Crawford. if we give up Crawford, would you be willing to move to center field? Like, but to say that and then not be able to make that move, now you basically told your guy.
Gotcha.
You see what I'm saying? Like, that could have happened.
Yeah, I agree with that point of it, but that is where you would almost, as the team, if Harper's saying, I went to them and said I would move, that guy didn't. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, there becomes animosity that, yo, why didn't you, like Stott's saying, I'll move to third base if you need me to. Fine, whatever the team needs. But here's Turner, the one guy that everybody's saying, well, why did that guy stay? And he's the only guy that you're not hearing anything about. I feel like you wonder how that's playing in the locker room.
Yeah, well, you've heard me. I said, in fact, I put it out there that I thought right now when we had our conversation, Turner would be an outfielder. I believe just simply because it'd be better for him, which would then be better for the team. I think it'd help his overall offense flourish because he has less to worry about. He's a human being. If you boot a ball, you've hurt your own pitcher. You've hurt your team, and he's booted a lot of them. But I also heard Bryce say, no, this is a temporary move. He's going back to first base. He made that clear. So if he goes back to first, it does open up a spot in the outfield again. And maybe Turner goes out there at the beginning of next year. Maybe they're looking at it like, okay, we have all of spring training, the whole off season for him to get used to playing center. Or I would not move Marsh out of left if I'm keeping Marsh, because I think he's an above average defender in left, but becomes average in center and right. I wouldn't want to hurt that if I don't have to. I think Turner only would go to center if you moved Crawford. And I don't want people pissed off at me about Crawford's going to be good. I do think Crawford's going to be good. I do. But I just didn't see a whole lot of value that the team had to get like a frontline, either a frontline starter, which would have given them 4 frontline starters on the mound, or, a impactful bat. But I do think they offered Bohm, and when they couldn't move Bohm, this is just me guessing, that they had to manipulate a few different spots. I will say this. Watching them last night, taking the field, reminded me when I was about 9 years old and my dad would come home from work and say he had a game for JoJo's Tavern. And I would go to the game, and the guys would come straight from work. We only got 7 guys. Oh, here comes Jim, And all of a sudden they say, hey, can you play first? Yeah, you play third. You play right. And they put the team out there. Win or lose, they were going back to the tavern. When I watched them yesterday, I was like, they're actually having fun with it. They're smiling. The first ball gets hit.
And I've been waiting to ask you this all week.
Yeah.
Like, to me, it wasn't a big – everyone's like, well, they moved all these guys defensively. I feel like these guys are professionals. I mean, I move kids from third to first to pitcher. I mean, if a 13-year-old kid can do it, these guys can move. I think they're okay. Like, is it – am I crazy?
No, you're not crazy. I heard you say that, and it can work a couple different ways. And I'll show you how, like, I look at things so differently when I watch a game. It's like the one category in life I'm really good at. You'll never hear me say about any other category. My wife hates that about me. But I watched that darn game, and the first ball that Bryce that was hit to him, he caught it. But his last 3 steps, he was backpedaling. And he said after the game that he mentioned that, my reads will get better, and they will. The more he plays out there, the more he takes off the bat in batting practice and in games, he'll get better. He may make a mistake here or there. That's probably going to happen. The ball that was hit to Stott at third, if you watch it closely, the infielders, they know how to use their feet to create a good hop. And a good hop is either a long, clean one or a short hop. A lot of people don't realize a short hop for a major league infielder is a good hop. It's a rhythm sound. It's a boop, and they know how to create that with their feet. He got an in-between hop because he hasn't been over there. And if you saw a replay of it, you'd see it hit the heel of his glove, and he grabs it with his bare hand. To the common person and every fan, it looked like a routine ground ball. He threw him out. But if you watch Todd after he threw it, he turned around for everybody in the infield's reaction, like, whoa, what happened? So he has to recreate his footwork simply because he's at a different position. The ball's going to get on him quicker, and he will do it because you're right. They're really good athletes. One more point I want to make. When I was at the Mets one year, they put Howard Johnson from third base out to center field in part because he was like a Trey Turner, very fast, very good athlete. And his first steps and angles, he struggled. And I'm watching because most of these games at that point in my career, I'm not starting. I'm watching the pitchers and their reaction. They're not showing him up, but there's balls that should have been caught that were turned into doubles. They were getting frustrated, so I hope none of that happens, but I don't think it will. I think you got the right guys. I love the way they're going about it. Like they're having fun with it. And I know that they see the value already in the move of grabbing Arraez.
All right, Dave Gallagher, everybody. Man, that goes by us way too fast. I have like 10 more questions I could probably ask you about this trade deadline. But the Phillies win last night. Arraez 2 RBIs. And the big key in that game, Trey Turner's on base 3 times last night. That helps Arraez drive guys in. His batting average with runners in scoring position, 400. So that could lead to a lot more runs. Dave Gallagher, 9-year Major League Baseball veteran, at Dave Gallagher 22. And he joins us weekly right here for a good baseball chat on the Sports Bash. Thanks, Dave.
All right, Mike. Always fun.
Always fun. Always fun. And, it's funny. A lot of people text in or say, hey, when you and Dave talk baseball, it is one of my favorite segments. It's one of my favorite segments. I just get to sit here and kind of listen to Dave talk about his experiences and then viewing these games as a former major leaguer watching them. Well, we're going to go to the ballpark and see what's up with Don Mattingly, what he thought about his team after the first night. We'll talk to Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City. That's coming up next right here on the Sports Bash. All right, 533 Sports Bash Live. Good conversation with Dave Gallagher here on the Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. Mike, the segment with Gallagher is on the Mount Rushmore of segments. That's a pretty high standard right there. Who would be on the Mount Rushmore of Sports Bash guests? Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City. Is he on the Mount Rushmore? Well, he's giving us all the information right now from Citizens Bank Park, where the Phillies get ready to take on the Nats. And, Mike, last night we got to see Luis Arraez for the first time. How surprised were you that the Phillies elected to hit him in the 4-hole to start his Phillies tenure?
Yeah, I was a little surprised, Mike, because as we talked before, we thought he'd bat number 1 or number 2. He certainly doesn't fit the profile of the traditional cleanup hitter. But, 2 RBI singles last night, so he did produce out of that spot, and he's back in that spot today. So I kind of see why they did it. They didn't want to drop Schwarber or Harper to clean up and have them get less at-bats, so you still have your main power guys getting the most at-bats they can. But, yeah, I was surprised, but for one night it worked.
It did work, and one of the reasons it worked, Mike, is because the guys in front of him, specifically Trey Turner, are getting on base. And if those guys get on base, do you like Arraez in the 4-hole?
Yeah, I kind of do because, in the past, maybe some guys in that spot were kind of striking out or not putting the ball in play. Arraez is a guy who is not going to strike out. He's not going to walk. He's going to put the ball in play, so there's going to be action. You're going to be putting pressure on defenses. You're going to have players running. So I think it leads to a more aggressive form of baseball. And if those big three hitters kind of, set the table and do some damage themselves, then you've got a guy coming behind them that can put the ball in play and make things happen and guarantee some action. So, I can see now, although, we didn't think of it before it actually happened, I can see now why it actually makes some sense.
Mike, obviously, you look at what Arraez brings, bat the ball. He doesn't strike out. And we were just talking with Dave Gallagher before you came on, is the fact that he doesn't need the protection behind him as much because he doesn't strike out, right? So that's why this kind of makes a little bit more sense when you think about it now. If you put Schwarber in the 4-hole, his protection becomes Bohm, and then he doesn't get the pitches. But when you get a guy who never really strikes out, it doesn't really matter as much as who's hitting behind him.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing Arraez does is his ability to handle the bat, right? He's got great bat control that you really don't see in today's game. I mean, he can foul off pitches. He can handle pitches outside of the zone. If he doesn't like a pitch and it's a strike, he can foul it off and he can wait till the pitcher kind of makes a mistake. So, and that's a skill you don't really see in baseball today. Like, we were sitting around here up at Citizens Bank Park before we talked to Don Mattingly, kind of wondering, why don't more guys hit like Luis Arraez? Back when, I don't want to sound like the old man, shouting, kids to get off their lawns, but back in the 70s and 80s, guys like Luis Arraez were prized and viewed as all-stars. Here's a guy who's kind of on his 4th team. He's batting .324. And it makes you wonder, how come more guys don't hit like him? And maybe some of the current Phillies, i.e. Justin Crawford, can benefit from looking at how Arraez approaches his at-bats and incorporate a little of that into their game.
Yeah, you wonder why he has bounced around. I imagine, his defense has been a problem. He doesn't really have a position, although his defense this year has been much better, and he goes to second, and that moved everybody else around. What was the vibes last night with all the new positions?
Well, it's funny, of course, the first fly ball goes to Bryce Harper in right field, and Bryce Harper after the game just says that's baseball, right? The ball is going to find you. I asked Don Mattingly before today's game, can changing positions kind of, give you a shot of enthusiasm, give you a shot of caffeine, late in a season. And he agreed that it can, not that the players weren't trying, not that Stott wasn't trying at second base, not that Bohm wasn't trying at first base, not that Harper wasn't trying at first or Bohm at third and Harper at first, but moving to new positions just makes you a little bit more alert, just gives you maybe that little extra jolt of energy. You're on your toes just a little bit more than you were at a comfortable position before. So we'll see if change can be a positive thing for the Philadelphia Phillies going forward.
Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City, pressofac.com, is live at Citizens Bank Park. You wrote about Dave Dombrowski. You saw them one night only, but did this move do enough to fix the offense, or did it just kind of make you feel good for one night only?
Well, we'll find out. Here's what I will say about this move. Arraez is going to hit. Now, we'll see if it works. But this move, if it doesn't work, is not going to not work because Arraez goes into a 2 for 40 slump or watches his average go from 324 down to 280 in the final 2 months of the season. He is going to produce. And I think the offense is better with him and his ability to get hits and put the ball in play. So going forward, will it work? Will it lead the Phillies to the promised land? I don't know, but I do know that it will not work because Arraez doesn't hold up his end of the bargain. He is going to hit. He's hit his whole career.
Yeah, he is going to hit, and he's going to hit in the 4-hole. That's where he is. The same lineup tonight as they had in last night's game. You got a chance to see Caleb Killian last night, and obviously you just threw an inning, but I'm interested to see how Don Mattingly kind of leverages his new toys.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, Mike, because I still have questions about the bullpen. I thought Killian looked good last night. He's a big guy. Obviously, he pitched out in San Francisco, late inning guy, so he's pitching at, 12:30 a.m., 1 a.m. in the morning here, East Coast time, so we haven't gotten a good look at him. He looked good last night, but you're right. I'm still interested to see, does this bullpen have enough to sort of get through the tough spots in the regular season, and how will it respond if and when the Phillies get to the postseason? I think how Raley performs will be the key maybe to how this bullpen does going forward. If he can be, a high leverage guy, a high leverage lefty guy who can get left-handed batters out late in the game, that's going to be a big plus for the Phillies. So I think how Raley goes might be how this bullpen goes going forward. But I'm interested to see, how that works out the rest of the season.
Mike, another thing I'd like to get your take on, because you're in the ballpark last night and you get to see Arraez come to the plate, the energy that he brings, different. We always talk about Trey Turner. He just, just no personality. The fans just can't connect with the guy. And it's like, hey, man, I want to like you, but you just give me nothing. This guy comes out his first time. He's putting his Phillies jersey, pumping that up there. I mean, this seems like the kind of guy that could add a little life to the clubhouse and the fan base.
Yeah, Mike, he seems to be a guy who's happy to be in a pennant race. So let's face facts. He's playing in San Francisco. They were going nowhere. It's been a long year for the San Francisco Giants. They've had several kind of issues out there in San Francisco. So now he's out of that and thrown into, a playoff situation where, there's 35,000 people at least in the ballpark every night. And I just think the way he plays he just brings energy again because he puts that ball in play. It's boring watching guys walk. It's boring, watching guys strike out unless you're, the team striking the guys out. But here's a guy when he comes to the plate and you're a fan, you got to move up to the edge of your seat a little bit because he's going to make contact and he's going to put the ball in play. And at least 3 times out of every 10, he's going to get a hit. So I just think it's the way he plays. He creates action and that creates energy. And I think that's good for the Phillies right now because too often their lineup, I thought Mike was just get a guy on base and then let's wait around for a guy to hit a home run. And if a guy doesn't hit a home run, we don't score. Well, Arraez kind of gives you another dimension.
Trey Turner, since July 1st, I think we're all seeing the numbers over 300, about 360 on base. You're starting to sense that there's not only a hot streak coming, but the offense is coming around for Turner, and that moving him into the 2-hole is going to help him out even more.
Yeah, I mean, Trey, again, Trey talked about this a couple of weeks ago. His overall numbers are not going to look good at the end of the season. And he was so bad in April and May. There's nothing anybody can do about that. But he has hit well since July 1st. He has been, he's hit for power. He's hit for average. And if he continues that and he has success in the postseason and the Phillies have success in the postseason, nobody is going to look at Trey Turner's overall numbers and kind of worry about what they say. And no one's going to worry what he did in April, May, and June. So since July 1st, he has been the Trey Turner that we've expected him to be. However, these last 55 games, and if the Phillies make the postseason games will determine how we ultimately think about the year that Trey Turner had.
Yeah, and I know that he's a catalyst, too. If they get him going, his on-base percentage is about 300 right now. But if it gets back to where he was last year, and he's on base 35% of the time, and Harper's on base 35, 36% of the time, and Schwarber's on base 37, then you have Arraez is going to turn into, an RBI machine.
Yeah, and you can play a more exciting brand of baseball, right? Mattingly talked about it, not necessarily with no outs, having guys on base run, but maybe guys with one out, in a situation. If you've got Arraez coming to the plate and Trey Turner's on first base with one out, why not put Trey Turner in motion? Why not get fielders moving? Why not with Arraez with his back control? Some of the Phillies actually early in the season, Alec Bohm said this, said they would, when they faced Arraez when he was in Miami and San Francisco, they would sort of shift their infield position because they thought Arraez had such great back control that he could literally hit the ball where the fielders ain't, basically, that he saw a hole out there. He would, aim the ball in that direction. So in order to kind of fool Arraez, once the pitcher went into his warm-up, they would, Bohm would take like 3 steps to his right or 2 steps to his left to try to throw Arraez off. So that sort of thing, why not take advantage of that? Why not let Arraez use that back control, put guys in motion, and play a kind of fun brand of baseball that puts pressure on opposing defenses?
Well, let's do it. Let's see what night 2 has in store. Mike, the Phillies can't make any of those waiver wire trades, but you got a lot of these DFA guys. I'd be interested to see if Dave Dombrowski's kicking the tires on any of these DFA guys. You get the feeling that maybe they're still sniffing around?
Well, I'm sure they're still kind of looking to improve the team, but I think as far as substantial changes, that's probably done. And I do know they kind of like, and I think, guys like Derek Hill, I think Derek Hill has came in here and found a little bit of a niche.
He has.
De La Cruz so far has been solid since he's brought up. So I think they like those guys. And I think, you got to look at what Dave said when they talked about, acquiring a 5th starter or 4th or 5th starter at the deadline. Is anybody we going to bring in better than the guys we have? And that's why they didn't make a move for a starting pitcher, because they like Nola and they like what Painter has done in his last start and his previous 2 starts in the minors. We'll see what he does tonight. So I think they like the guys they have right now, and I feel comfortable that they're gonna ride the rest of the way with the current roster.
All right, Mike McGarry's live at Citizens Bank Park at AC Press McGarry. You can check out all his Phillies coverage from this series against the Nationals. It is Luis Arraez hitting in the 4-hole night number 2. The Phillies win in his debut. Can they make it a sweep of the Nats? We'll talk more tomorrow right here on the Sports Bash. Thank you, Mike.
All right, Mike, we'll see you down the road. Thanks a lot.
And Mike, of course, right here on the Bash. He'll be back on Friday's show as we take a look back at the series against the Nationals. And the weekend will be here as the Phillies this weekend. You start with a sweep to get the week going, hopefully, if they win tonight. And then they got a little group of games here coming up with actually they play the Nationals. It's a 4-game series. This weekend they play Toronto. And then after that, I think they're out in St. Louis. Then they got Minnesota, Miami, St. Louis again, at Seattle, then the Angels at Arizona is the next time they play a team that's actually in the current playoff field. So they got a bunch of games they can make up some ground here. All right, when we come back, get ready to wrap up the show here on the Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. We'll read off all your text messages and react to as many as we can to end tonight's show. That's next. I'm Mike Gill. This is the Sports Bash. All right, 5:53. Sports Bash is live, 97.3 ESPN. Getting ready to get out of here. So, got a lot going on the next couple of weeks here. Monday of next week, right? Monday of next week, the Sports Bash is back at the Fanatic Sportsbook at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. So that means football season is definitely back when we are back at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. So the show is back on the road every Monday from now until the Super Bowl, basically. Wednesday, we will be live at Yuri's in Wildwood. So stop out and see us on Wednesday show. And then Thursday, I am on the road and out. My team is heading to the World Series. We are back for the 5th time. The Atlantic Shore 13s are going to the World Series. So we will be heading to Jamestown, New York. And we're having a fundraiser on Sunday at Maynard's in Margate from 2 to 5. If anybody wants to come out and support, or if you want to just donate for travel and all the stuff for the families, you can go to our website. You can find stuff on Facebook. There's a ton of things being shared. But 2 to 5 at Maynard's in Margate on Sunday will be a fundraising opportunity, and it's open to the public. All we ask is a donation at the door to help with travel and lodging and all that stuff. But unbelievable to think that for the 5th time, heck, I remember the first time we went, I couldn't even believe it then. And getting there for another opportunity, it's pretty surreal, actually. And it's back in the spot that we won the World Series back in 2021. And hopefully, I would love to see a 5-year reunion. If there's any of the families from that team from 5 years ago, we would love to see you come out there and support. Anybody out there listening, stop out at Maynard's this Sunday from 2 to 5 and help us out. That would be awesome. Love to see some very familiar faces from years past. But that's what we got coming up. Monday at Ocean, Wednesday at Yuri's, and then we're back at Ventnor Social on August 26th. Good night, everybody.